Hi, this is another episode that we enjoyed shooting. It's an episode with Hemanth Rao, the director of Sapta Sagaradaache Ello, Side A and Side B. We talked to him about his passions like sport. We speak about in detail about Sapta Sagara. So please watch the two movies for best results before watching this podcast. We also speak about his journey and a few tips on how to brave the journey of a filmmaker. So please watch the entire episode, and I'm sure you guys will love it. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to another week's episode. And this time we have a new guest.
Yeah, somebody who was. We always have new guests, man. Yeah, but we have somebody who was one of the most requested people.
This
Hemanth Rao.
Hemanth Rao.
Yeah.
Hello.
The first director from Kannada industry.
I'm very honored to be here.
We begin off with lies. Let's go.
No, you started with a lot of requests coming my way, so
Look, we got a few. I'll be honest, but quite a few requests we got.
Oh, nice.
So I'll just give you a brief intro. Firstly, welcome.
Thank you.
To Permit Room. And are you familiar with the name Permit Room and what it means?
There is a like a place in Bangalore called Permit Room.
Is it a bar or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the concept. So in Telugu states, so you have off-limit shops and bars, right? So behind the cheap, the economical wine shops, there is a place where people drink.
Okay.
And that is the place where the true
Yeah.
freedom of speech and
Yeah.
everything happens.
Yeah.
So it's actually Santosh's name. So that's why we called it Permit Room. So
Nice. It's called Standing Bar.
standing bar.
in Bangalore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have that a lot. I've spent a lot of time in such places.
Correct. So I hope you feel at home.
Yeah, very much.
So there is just a brief this thing that we don't have any agenda. Like we are not trying to extract like sensational answers from you.
Super.
Neither are we trying to find out who you really are.
Oh,
like
super.
dig deep into your conscious. I mean, we don't have those kind of things. We just wanted to be a free flowing conversation. We didn't even bring questions.
Perfect.
Because because I'm sure you have answered like hundreds of questions about cinema and movies and all of that. So so the first thing we tell our guests is that if there is any question that you've been asked already, and we are journalists, we can take it, right? Just say no. This question is too boring for me. Pass. Okay. And or if it is something that you've already spoken about, you can just say check out whatever.
Okay.
So basically, we don't want you to be spending any minutes over here talking about things that you've
Yeah.
already spoken about or it doesn't matter to you. Kind
Got it.
of. And since it's no agenda, so
Yeah. That's a good start.
That's good going.
okay, cool. So I'll tell you a little bit. Many of our guests over here, I wish we could show you like this thing, like a montage, but many of them have spoken for minutes and minutes about your movie.
Oh.
That it is one of the most loved movies of the last 1 year, and it is a movie like I went with my friend, and she's a stone-hearted person, unemotional robot. But I caught her also wiping her tears slightly.
Maybe dust in the air.
Yeah. So I personally loved your movie, and I think everybody in this room has loved your movie. Anna, మీరు Sapta Sagara చూసారా మీరు? నచ్చేదా?
both sides.
Everybody has watched it over here. I feel like Shravan, Dheeraj, obviously. So it was one of those most loved movies, right? But what is the most common question that you have got about the movie, so that I can avoid it?
Why two parts?
Why
I
two
think
parts?
was one of the. It's not most common. I think not that many. Like it's people today ask less questions. They opine more. So it's been more to do with lots. There is the huge number of people who are like the film is a little slow. You know, I fell asleep 2-3 times. You know, so I get messages like that as well. At the same time, I get messages where people speak very passionately about it for 15-20 minutes, and you know, so it's I try and stay away from it as much as possible.
Correct.
Because it's sort of it is very powerful. It is a very powerful drug, right? When you look at appreciation for your work, and you can get lost. I need to stay away from it, knowing myself,
Okay.
because it will help me write my next film.
Okay.
I don't want to get caught in that, you know,
Okay.
whirlpool. So I try and don't indulge too much.
Okay.
So when maybe there are days, as you're a writer, you'll also know this, that there are days where you wake up and you're like, I'm worthless. I can't do anything. So those are the days where I'll probably go back, read a comment, or recall a comment.
Okay.
And when I'm feeling too good, I will go back and
Correct.
look at something where they say, we saw the film, it could have been made in half an hour.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
okay.
All right. No, thanks for telling us that. Because now it puts us at crossroads, right? We can either not talk about it or not pay attention.
Yeah.
Or we create a 40-minute segment for that day when he wakes up and he's like, dude, why am I making movies? So I think we'll make a short segment for you.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
We'll
super.
title it also like that. For Hemanth's bad days, and we'll keep it.
Oh,
so
nice.
let's not directly get into Sapta Sagara. I'm okay.
No, but
with that.
one incident I'll recall when Rahul Ravindran had come on the podcast and he was telling off, and he was saying that he had met you first time in a cab. You guys were going together to the airport.
Yeah, correct,
And
correct.
that is when you guys exchanged number. And after Sapta Sagara released, Side A released, then no. I don't think so. After that,
Yeah, we
he
did.
didn't touch,
Yeah.
but your only conversations are like when Liverpool match is happening.
Yeah.
Then you ping him and you guys like chat, and then after that there's like no conversation. Again, when the next Liverpool match happens, again there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a nice.
Though I believe that after a certain age, the current climate, it's very difficult to make new friends in whatever industry you work in. The best kind of people who come into your life, this is my personal opinion, in my personal observation, obviously, that after a certain age, after 30, 35, it's difficult to meet new people, right? So you carry the people that you have sort of, grown up with, and either you are close with them at some level or you've sort of drifted apart. Or it's the kind of relationship where you can just start off where you left off, that sort of a thing. But with Rahul, it was very unique in the sense that I'm meeting somebody, I'm 40, he's also 40. So, and we connected instantly over the film. And the fact that he's a complete mad Liverpool fan and we watch every single match. Like if I have shoot, if he has shoot, it doesn't matter. We'll somehow, like there are many instances where there's a monitor screen and on top of it, I have my phone and streaming the match, and I make sure that I watch the match in between, and
Okay.
So it's a given that he's always there and the matches, it's like 1:30 at night, 2:00 at night. So the only other person with whom you can vent and sort of celebrate and scream is it's a nice kind of a unique relationship. So yeah, and he's a fabulous person. So yeah.
Can I make a random ass assumption about Liverpool fans?
I knew this was coming, by the way. I knew this was coming. I can guess you support Arsenal
Give the
also.
context also.
Yeah. No. So I cannot claim to be a huge fan of football, and but I have been fascinated by the culture. So in the last, I haven't done it for the last 2 years, but I started watching about 5 years ago, I think. What I would do was just to like be the Joker in Gotham City. Every year I would support one club and I would do the whole thing with them, drink and
Oh man, you're
And
the
next
worst. Absolute worst.
and next year I would fuck off. And they're like, hey, man. And I would give some shit about, doesn't matter, be detached and all. So I did that. So I spent 1 year with Liverpool fans, then 1 year with Man City and 1 year with Arsenal, right? And this is my random ass assumption about Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans feel very deeply. Is that true though? You might have Liverpool fans. Are they all like intensely deep, emotional? Oh, you're also Liverpool fan. Oh my God. Okay.
I think that it is common across all. You supporting any football team, cricket team, it doesn't matter. I think that sort of there's a certain kind of trolling that you have to dish out, and a certain amount of trolling that you have to accept.
Correct.
Which is the worst part and the best part of being, because within a group, like I actually save images of the opposing team losing and somebody like sitting and crying. I'll be like, yeah, okay, yes, I'm going to wake somebody up. And like there are friends I've not spoken about for like 5-6 years, Then randomly Arsenal will lose, and I'll be like, "Hi, how are you? How are things at home?" You know, I love doing stuff like that.
There's like a small Twitter among themselves.
Yeah.
And no, but I'm saying this because, like, think about this, right? So Rahul Ravindran, right? I'm judging that he's an emotional person from his movies, but I don't know. Bhavneet Singh, man.
Bhavneet Singh, yeah. He
Bhavneet
has a
Singh,
tattoo also.
Yeah, he feels intensely about everything.
Yeah.
He's generally a generally very intense person. But is that true or is that?
I'd like to think so, because it's like a special compliment, right?
Yeah.
Rather because of the club that you support. So, but I think it would be common across all.
No, I'll tell you why. Because Man City fans are assholes. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. The whole club itself is like, see, basically what has happened is I have been following football since 98, like before it was a fad.
okay.
Because I ended up just watching football one day and I saw Liverpool play. I didn't know which club was which. I didn't even know. I was getting into the sport.
Okay.
And I've always loved sports. I feel it's like I've played a lot of sports, and the things that I've learned about life is primarily through sports that I've played. So I immediately connected to it. And I'm the kind of a person, if I like one song of a band, then I'll go back and download the entire discography. I listen to the whole album. I geek out a lot. So somehow it connected. The fact that they're from Liverpool, Beatles, and you know the whole backstory just like it's like, okay, perfect. This makes a lot of sense. And over the years, I've seen a lot of people be very passionate. But the worst lot is Man City fans, because they're basically glory hunters. You know, it's like gold diggers. They were like, okay, they're winning now. They have all the money. We'll support them.
Yeah. No, which is exactly what I did. I'm like, then I read up. I'm like, yo, they have the
Like,
money.
you're very difficult to troll, because you're like, I am changing sides all the time. Like, you can't troll the Joker.
Yeah. No, but then after doing it for 2 years, I just said, okay, you know what?
But they play beautiful football. Like the quality of football they play. As much as I hate them, you have to appreciate it. It's really beautiful to watch.
That culture is just now coming through IPL to India.
Yeah.
I think
ISL, yeah. There's a huge subculture in Bangalore about BFC, Bangalore Football United. It's actually the only Bangalore club. RCB is trying to rebrand itself and try to be all Kannadiga and all that now. But from day one, BFC has been like, you know, they actually sing Shankar Nag songs. They have a wall, and it's like a beautiful thing. I've watched only one match till now, but the number of people who are so, you know, crazy about it is very, very nice. Like I really am eager to experience it's called the Blue Wall. You're part of the stadium has one section where the Blue Wall basically sings. So all the players at the end of the match go and, you know, they clap the Blue Wall, and the Blue Wall sings to them. So it's like a very special thing, which is quite beautiful to watch. I mean, that sort of shows the way football is growing as a sport. It's nice.
So if you if you had unlimited resources, right? And if you could make a documentary on anything, right? Is there anything that you would like to document?
Oh, actually, I wanted to start. I've tried to do 2 documentaries which didn't take off initially because I was very fascinated in stories. The whole, like, I used to get this crazy idea of, you know, if we did like a train journey from complete the northest point of India to the south, you know, the lowest point, and then cross the country east and west only through a train. Like, how would you document that journey? What are you basically see like, this is usually, it is coincides with the books that you read. Like, I was reading a lot of travel related books at that point of time. So I was like, I want to do this someday. Then there was a very interesting thing that I had observed about, we had come across a person in Namakkal he's an AIDS patient. So we wanted to do a documentary on him, me and a friend of mine who's now in the US. He had a slightly journalistic bent of mine. And he was also, I was more into I want to make films. This is very early on when we were starting out. And at that point of time, if somebody said, go shoot a video about a tree, I would have gone and shot some video about a tree.
Okay.
Just to survive. So when this opportunity came up, we went and did the interviews and all that, and found some very interesting thing about how Namakkal is actually like the AIDS epicenter,
Okay.
because there's a lot of prostitution that happens there, and Namakkal is also the biggest. You have goods, all the transports, all the vehicles,
The trucks and
the trucks. They go from there to all parts of the world, all parts of the country.
okay.
So the drivers then take the disease and then spread it to different parts. So it's like a very interesting
Where
sort
is
of
it
a.
located?
Namakkal is at I think it's in about 200 kilometers from Chennai, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a place where they service all these trucks and lorries, the heavy transport vehicles. So it's a very interesting thing about how road transport. There are things that we take for granted, like how do we get wheat from one place to another place? How does how do we get vegetables from here, which is not essentially part of this climate? How do we get it? So all this is the road transport plays a huge role in connecting the country, right? So like I wanted to explore these kind of things. So unlimited resources. I would love to make a documentary. I don't know about what. I realize that ultimately it is you would want to pick a subject that is going to excite you for at least 1.5 years. Like if you want to do a documentary, because you really want to get into it, and So I don't know. I've grown up watching a lot of docus. So maybe somewhere down the line, I would love to make a documentary.
Okay. So Hemanth, what are your favorite documentaries?
I'm terrible with names, so there's a good chance that I'll describe the documentary.
Mr. Chitragupta.
Oh,
Young
nice.
Chitragupta will.
There is this documentary. It's only a series of visuals. I think it's called Samsara. No.
I
You know
watched
which
this.
one?
Yeah. Samsara, it's called.
It's called
It's
Samsara.
by this. That one.
Oh yeah. This is
Pan
such,
Allen.
yeah,
Pan
yeah.
Allen, something his name is.
He's made a beautiful film also about a Buddhist monk. I forget the name of the film. It's like I've turned 40 and I'm like brain cells are just dropping off my head.
Samsara.
No, then I was talking about some other filmmakers.
Yeah. No, but this is the documentary.
Okay,
This is the documentary because there is the you see the birth of a child, you see different cultures, you see how people pray in different parts of the world, how people work. They show the whole industrial machine that China is. Then they show religious places, how people, it's beautiful. You can just you don't need the sound also. You can just, the visuals are so beautiful. This is a documentary that made a very huge impact on.
Is it the one where there is a kind of a prayer where everybody comes like
Exactly.
this and that?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a long
Yeah,
stretch
yeah,
of 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's absolutely gorgeous.
But curious, Samsara is a very Indian name, no?
I think it is sort of all composed.
Living
Samsara.
Buddha and Samsara ante Samsaram like.
Yeah, I think so. It
comes
is
from there?
Yeah, I think so. He made a sequel to this as well, which is quite beautiful.
Okay.
I'm a very big fan of animal documentaries where there's a documentary where Jeremy Irons is the narrator. He's of this lioness protecting a pack.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful, like by the end of the film, I'm like sitting and like crying, and I'm like, oh, it's like the drama is so beautifully created. The Last Lions, that is also a very beautiful, beautiful. And I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Irons' voice. He has this, like when you listen to him, it's some people have the gift of a narrator's voice, like Morgan Freeman, obviously being the popular one. But if you recall Clive Owen, he has a beautiful voice that can be perfect for a narration. Then Bachchan sir, some people have that. Just listening to it feels like you're like, okay, I want to listen to the story. Jeremy Irons, I felt is quite a few. I mean, I've not obviously of late. I've only seen the Curry and Cyanide and that kind of documentaries. But there was a point where I used to look up like obscure documentaries. There was one documentary about very twisted story of basically the best friend. Uh, like if I'm the documentary filmmaker, my best friend marries a girl, and they have a child, and the woman kills the
friend.
the friend. So I decide to make a documentary for the son. It's I forget the name of the film. It's so twisted because at the end of it, the dead guy's parents and this woman who is in jail, they end up taking care of the kid. It's like this very weird, sort of thing about how people are united through weird grief and for a new life, and she's regretful about killing. Very old documentary, and it's shot in that very indie,
Okay.
not with a great camera, not with perfect emotional moments that are captured. But I mean, there is a certain element where you go looking for a story. Like you're holding a camera and you're waiting for the story to unfold in front of you. That as a medium is very, very interesting.
Can we try to
Figure out,
find
it's
that?
called some sun something. It's like a very vague description that I gave you guys.
No, but he's engineer. He'll find.
Aren't we all engineers?
No. We are not. You are an engineer.
Yeah,
though, right?
yeah.
Oh my God. He followed the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Bangalore, though, that is the thing. In the film industry, especially, we have a joke that in Kannada we say, "Kall esidre obban miss agi innobban bilate," types, which means if you throw a stone, it'll invariably hit a guy who is an engineer turned filmmaker.
Yeah.
There's like that many of us
Correct,
walking
correct,
around.
Yeah. Here it's like engineering is the puberty. After that only you find your passion.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
is-
Yeah, same.
your
same,
parents
yeah.
pay 4 years
Yeah,
for you to kind
correct.
of buy up.
I mean, I essentially figured out what not to do in life by doing engineering. Like I was like, this is one thing that I am terrible at. Like I shouldn't do this. So that. Zachary's son, dear Zachary. Yeah, dear Zachary. It's beautiful. That's a very nice documentary.
And okay, dear Zachary. A letter to a son about his father.
Yeah.
Nice.
And this guy's a filmmaker who's just, I think, if I remember, when did this come out?
2008.
2008, yeah. So it's a while back. But the interesting thing about it is this guy who's the filmmaker who's ended up capturing this, it was not in his plan to make this.
Yeah.
He just was like, okay, I'm going to start recording this. And he has no idea why he's doing it. Slowly over the course of the documentary, you can realize why he's doing it. So it's very, very nice, very beautiful.
And since you are the confluence of sport and cinema, like Rahul Ravindran was, with Rahul Ravindran, we spoke about sports and movies for like 1.5 hours or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's what we like about the podcast, that there's no agenda or time limit.
yeah.
No, but so you also, since you are in the confluence of that, any sports documentaries that you like, would recommend?
Sports documentaries. I'm a very big fan of all the Wimbledon films.
Okay.
Like every year, Wimbledon makes this film. Every major tournament, like even FIFA, they have a major documentary. One of the shows that I like without missing a single second that I watched recently is there is this like you get into the dressing room, sort of observe with NFL. There is a new thing. What is it called? The NFL documentary. It's on Prime. It's a series. They did it with Man City also, Arsenal also.
NFL icon.
No, not NFL Icons. It's on Prime. All or Nothing. Yeah. All or Nothing. I think season 1 was Cardinals. I don't follow American football. That's the best part. Like I took a subscription to understand what the rules of the sport. Like a lot of my friends are in the US. They follow it. They understand the rules. Every time they explain the thing to me, and it's very typical American, right? Like even before the drama sets in, you break into an ad For 30 minutes, there are ads. I'm like, where is the sport? Like, I want to watch the sport. Why am I watching ads? But I got into it and I was like, I want to know how this works. And I like, and NFL games are like at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I sit and watch like NFL. I've started watching NFL. I love basketball. A lot of good documentaries about basketball, but I'm not able to recollect like a name per se. But All or Nothing as a series is very nice across the board. They did this with Arsenal. They did this with Juventus. They did this with Man City. So you also see a lot of teams that you have played against, and when they say stuff like Liverpool is a very difficult club to play, I'm like, yeah. Yeah, so
No, but you're telling me you don't have a Prime subscription?
I have.
Okay. No, you said you took the subscription to watch this.
No. I've started. There is something called Dazen. No, it's a sports
Oh, subscription to watch the matches.
matches.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
To see the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And actually, when you follow the game, it is amazing. Like the actual drama of watching American football, the athleticism that is in play. Sport is about character, right? I mean, it's the single most. It actually has no purpose for humanity. If you think about it, like nobody is going to go lose sleep if people stop playing sports.
Yeah.
But the fact that people are ready to say, I will run faster than you, is a very inherently human idea, right? That I want to be better, not better than, like, there are several layers to it, right? I want to be better than you, and then I want to be better than myself. Like, is this the best that I can do? That whole thing, and also working within a team is very interesting, because you don't always work with people that you like, right? But you have to work together to make something happen. And I think in the loss of war, the best thing that you will see, where you understand what working with people is like, is watching team sports.
Yeah.
And it's like, if like I would advise anybody with kids to consider putting your kids into any kind of sport, boy, girl, doesn't matter, because there's so much to get out of playing sports and watching sports.
Yeah.
My wife will be like, stop it. You're just making up a long excuse to watch random sports instead of letting me watch some TV.
Now, apparently, I heard even NFL is actually only 15 minutes game.
It's
And
15-minute 4 quarters. So 15, 15, 15, 15.
But that stretches long for like
2.5 hours.
2.5
Because they have ads, they'll have a break, then they'll have a halftime show, they'll have a dance and all that, which, like, so I watch only the 15 minutes. So I've started doing only that, and that portion is extremely entertaining. It's like a lot of fun.
No, I feel that if aliens really came to Earth and they looked at humanity, they would judge us a lot.
Yeah.
But if they see what we did with sport, they would be like, yo, that's some cool
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Especially the Olympics, it kind of still blows my mind.
Yeah.
That you have an event where everybody from the world, the best in the sport, comes and competes. I think it's one of humans' greatest inventions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sport.
And it is so in terms of an idea, it has its heart in the right place. The idea of a sport, the idea of competing, because you learn about losing, you learn about winning, and every time there's a fight, like UFC and all, like I see these videos where there's a person who is competing and he or she will do like a namaste and he'll try to shake the hand, but the other guy is like, no, fuck you, I won't, like. And then one guy loses and then he puts out his hand. Like, you see character, right? You see people, they have different approaches towards life.
Correct.
And when that comes against each other, that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah. And also, I think the idea of fairness and justice, right?
Yeah.
In sport, the rules are, of course, you might have better ecosystem and infra and all, but finally, the rules are the same. You gotta play.
Yeah.
I think that is what appeals to me. Any football documentaries that you watched and you liked?
There are a lot of these YouTube football documentaries,
fan-made
fan-made
kind of, which are actually
documentaries,
very good.
which is like very nice. There's a very nice documentary about Klopp, Jurgen Klopp, the ex-manager of Liverpool.
Yeah, Rahul has told us all about it.
He's
Everything we need to know.
I've learned more about life through Jurgen Klopp than actual football, because of the way he approaches things. There are a lot of nice documentaries like that, but not like nothing springs to mind in that sense. Like, most of it is very generic. Like it's not like a like Samsara. I was able to specifically say this is the story. It'll now, though I'm a little, to be very honest, the whole thing of making films around sports and like okay, there is this, you can't blame it. It's a habit. Like when you see something succeeding, everybody will be like, okay, that is the route to make some money. And films, it's a very expensive business. So people will gravitate towards something that is always working. If somebody shows the way, there'll be 10 people will be like, okay, he has survived. He took a bet and worked. So we'll all go and do this. So there are like some 100 sports films that are coming out. I'm like, okay, I don't feel like watching any of them for some reason.
Especially if they're biopics, man. I can't stand these.
Yeah, there is a
modern
certain
Indian
saturation. Yeah, it's
I watched one documentary that I really liked. It's football, where they shoot using many cameras. They shoot Zidane's last match. Have you heard of that documentary?
no.
It's like this French people made it. His last club match. That one, whatever the French name is.
Unportrait.
Whatever.
Oh, okay. Portrait of. I can't speak French, but
So I watched this and
Nice.
I don't know much, but I liked so much that so they just have all the cameras and they're just cutting like that. So you're watching a real match, but all the cameras are focused on him,
only on him. Okay,
right?
okay.
Through the entire match. Imagine you're watching a whole match, but just Zidane. Zidane running, Zidane
Nice.
abusing,
Oh, it's like
pushing.
Yeah.
Argio star camera.
Yeah. you
Stars,
heard that.
yeah. But shot with like beautiful, whatever, filmmakers. So, and then I don't know much about him apart from the fact that whatever, he won the World Cup and he headbutted
yeah.
and he had. But as I'm watching this, you get to see like his personality, right? Because he's under intense pressure
Yeah.
and he's spitting and shouting. And in this match also, he pushes somebody, gets a yellow card or a red card.
No, but
and he leaves in the middle.
there are some people. There's one more Italian player called Pirlo. He used to play for Milan and Juventus. Dude, he's like, first of all, he looks like on stud. Okay, and
the long hair.
Yeah. And you should see some of his penalties. He does in the most high intense match when you like it. If he loses the penalty, Italy loses the Euros. He goes and does a panenka. If it's the panenka is a very famous penalty. It's named after a Czechoslovakian player called Panenka,
Okay.
where you don't shoot the ball directly at the goal. You sort of chip the ball in front of the goalkeeper from 10 yards out, which is a very risky thing to do because you can look really stupid if the goalkeeper just stands, the ball will fall into his lap.
Okay.
But the coolness with which he does it, it's like you have to watch it, man. It's like
Can you play that? Can you?
it's I think England versus Italy. Yeah, this.
I'm sure it'll be the most watched section.
And this guy, Joe Hart, is like
Hey, man.
he's like 400 meters tall. And I think when he played this match, he was 36. Wow, that is balls of steel, dude. Like to be able to do that in a final, it's mad. Like it's like Sachin Tendulkar or Dhoni hitting a six left-handed.
Yeah.
When one ball sixes required, you turn the bat and hit a six. I mean that is how. I mean, this is the equivalent of Dhoni hitting the six versus Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So a very interesting tidbit about it is that the first ever guy who did it, the Czechoslovakian player, he did this against a German team. The German goalkeeper did not talk to him because he was so offended. Because he was made to feel like a fool. The press covered it as such. And he was like, I will not talk to him. So for 2-3 years, they didn't talk. And it became so famous that all the other players started emulating it. And that's why it's called the Panenka penalty.
Okay.
So eventually they made peace, and there's a nice write-up about it. And so I read a lot about sports also. I generally read. So these are all like, you're always reading because you enjoy storytelling in all forms.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
And this
While
kind of you cannot keep it as your signature one also because they'll expect.
Yeah.
So you have to do it like once in like.
Exactly. Yeah. No, a lot of people have failed doing this, and it's like it's always like, why do you have to be so flamboyant? Why do you have to be like how Virat Kohli gets a lot of flack about he could have just like everybody sitting at home is like ace cricketers about. They'll have this strong opinion of he should have done this, he should have done that. Too much style. That's why just do it normally. No, what is the problem?
Correct.
So people have failed, but that is the beauty of it. Like to be able to pull it off.
And in India, we don't like people who are too flamboyant also.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
are like, yo, you got to be good at your job, but you got to be humble also.
Yeah.
What is that pressure, dude?
Yeah. And he's very famous because in one match, I think when he was playing for UA, he had an injury in his right knee, and he plays in midfield, which is you control, like the role that he plays is very instrumental in terms of how the game works, right? It's like the equivalent to an opening bowler. So the opening spell becomes very important. So that is the kind of role that he has in midfield. Because he had an injury in the right knee, he didn't use his right knee throughout the match. He played only with his left. He passed only with his left leg, which is like mad, like a skill. And he doesn't make a big deal about it. And like I like players like I'm a huge Rahul Dravid fan, like Rahul. So there is a certain thing of just doing your job, going home and living your life. Like
Correct.
is a nice.
No, but there is niceness in also being the flamboyant also.
Because I am very Rahul Dravid fan, I appreciate the flamboyance. I'm like, oh, that is so cool that I would never think of it, So yeah, it is nice.
So for me with sport, like I follow a lot of sports, maybe not as much, but I feel like the first sport, now it's controversial to call it a sport, but the first time that I actually connected with characters was WWF.
Oh man.
Did you watch WWF?
I cried when Undertaker died. When I was in school, I cried.
Oh, the fake death.
Yeah, no, it's not fake though. Come on.
He has 20 more lives.
He came back. I mean, he was brought back from the dead. Undertaker really died. What do you say? You don't rob my childhood from me. But no, I was devastated. Like we used to in school, all my school friends during lunch break, we used to pretend to be like we used to if Royal Rumble has happened, we used to reenact it the following day. It was like I was insane. Like I could mouth dialogues. Like there are many times when somebody would say something, I'd be like, "If you smell what the rock is cooking," like I used to do all of that. So massively into.
Who were your favorite wrestlers?
Bret Hitman, Shawn Michaels.
You're taking all the easy choices. Rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 on the cards.
Ultimate is Undertaker. Always. Like Undertaker and Stone Cold for me. When they fought against each other, I was like very confused. I was like, who do I support? Like my two idols are playing against each other. So yeah, it was always the two of them.
For me, it was Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels.
I always liked him. Like
he was also
he was
very
not the
flamboyant.
biggest guy, but there was a certain
sweet chin music.
Yeah, sweet chin music. Yeah.
So like in childhood, you guys knew that. I mean, of course, I also knew that it was a real fight. But later, like once after
there is that heartbreaking moment in your life.
Yeah,
where you
it
make
was actually a drama created, but like so.
Basically,
it's
when
like theater actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people have died during it. So it's I think the best. There's a movie by Darren Aronofsky called The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, where they show that life, where, like what it is to be a professional fake wrestler. You take the lot of hits. First of all, you pump your body with crazy amount of steroids. You go through a certain kind of a lifestyle which is very demanding, and then you keep constantly putting yourself in harm's way. Where somebody, if they don't get the move right, you can actually snap your neck. So it is a sport in that sense because people's lives are at stake, and they're only doing it to entertain you. So when I found out, I was very like. I've had fights with people saying, no, how do you know that this is not sport? It is sport. And, Vince McMahon is like, he cheated him and, stuff like that. But slowly, as you grow old, you're like, okay, maybe I should just keep my mouth shut about this and we'll agree. Yeah. But it is, I mean, it is very beautiful. That whole thing of professional sport and how much they do to entertain. Yeah. There is some beauty in it.
It's like method acting for 30 years, dude. You get a character.
Yeah.
And if it clicks, otherwise they switch your character also. So there are many wrestlers who have done 2-3 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've changed their whole names and stuff. But if your character clicks, like see, Undertaker worked. Now he's method actor for 40 years. How many ever years?
Only one role continuously is what you become known for. And but there are some characters who are like, there used to be a very interesting character called Tatanka.
He was like
No, the Tatanka was native Indian. Red Indian, yeah.
native.
I actually was like, I found out about Tatanka and I found out about Red Indians, that whole, what they wear and the feathers and all that because of him. Yeah, because he used to come in that, this feather thing. I was like, what is that? What is he wearing? Where is he from? So I went and discovered Red Indian culture because of this guy.
And funnily, he's a Caucasian.
Yeah, exactly.
So imagine the script writing.
This is a cultural misappropriation at the highest degree, but I discovered that culture because of this guy.
And Yokozuna, he's not Japanese.
He's not Japanese, yeah.
But what did you think? We all thought like, okay, he's a Japanese.
Comes as a,
Yeah. There is a flag and all that. There is that very famous thing, right? That I think that is where the storytelling is so.
he comes like a sumo wrestler also.
Wrestler.
Yeah. No, they did the whole Pearl Harbor, US, Japan backstory, and they were like, no American can lift me. Then Lex Luthor, wearing an underwear with a US flag, lifts him and throws him down. I was like, wow.
That's like some years of writing.
Yeah, it's like,
dude, it's insane writing.
It's
so
insane
they have
writing.
one actual writer who writes all of these arcs, right? And at that time, now it has become very PG. Like it has, you can't show blood and all.
Yeah.
But back then it was wild.
Yeah.
Like one storyline would be like, he took away his wife. And you're like, oh shit, last week he took her. What happened now? One whole storyline will be like, he buried him in cement.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how does he come out? And you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I forget his name, as a legendary the wrestling writer. And so Vince McMahon and whatever would kind of come up with his characters. So to answer your question about how did it feel? So initially your heart breaks, dude. But as you grow older, you appreciate that, no man, there is a certain storytelling involved in that.
Yeah. And it's very interesting, right? I mean, they're still relevant. They have now diversified into movies and all that. One of the weirdest things is a while back, they were getting into production, making content, because everybody's making content today. Somebody reached out to me and said, would you be interested to write like something for WWE? And I was like, wow.
What, really?
Like even I was a kid, if I got this offer, I'd be like, I got the best job in the world. But I was like, no, not now.
Pass on such gigs to me, please.
No, they wanted to take a character from, so they're all using the IP and they're trying to see if they can make a movie of it.
Okay.
It's like the commercialization of something that is, it's taken that, exploratory sort of thing where they're like, okay, we have so much of IP, let's see what we can do with it. Yeah.
So what are the sports that you follow? Like
I follow football, cricket. Cricket, I love Test cricket. I'm saturated by T20 and it's just too much. But I invariably, when you're an RCB fan, like when you're from Bangalore, you cannot pretend to be like, I follow IPL, because you're like, it's continuous heartbreak after heartbreak.
I think that's where your Sapta Sagara thing is there. That is the RCB experience of being in jail.
That whole uniform this time, red and blue, is like, we will go to the finals at all costs, but then we will still lose. It was very heartbreaking. But I followed RCB. The fact that they don't have any Karnataka players and Kannada players really irks me. And but I'm happy that they're now, Virat Kohli is coming and saying Hosa Adhyaya and all that. I'm like, okay, nice. This is good. But hopefully we get KL Rahul back and he becomes the captain and all that. But yeah, I follow IPL, but not too much. Definitely football, all 4-5 main leagues, European leagues, Spanish league, German league, French league, EPL, and Champions League, and I follow the Olympics a little bit here and there. Olympics in the sense that when there is a national sport sort of a thing like Asian Games or Olympics or Commonwealth Games, I try and my eye is always on it. I don't physically watch it, but I always I know if somebody is playing, if Neeraj Chopra has an event, I will keep my eye on it. And because over years I've sort of used this, the algorithm also shows me stuff. I invariably end up getting updated that way. Apart from that, basketball, little bit. Now NFL, little bit. Racing, I used to watch a lot of racing. Generally, if I get bored, I can just switch on a sports channel and entertain myself for like 2-3 days without any problem. Like the only sport that I am very curious of, but I've not really made that, oh, this is really interesting, is golf.
I was just going to guess. Yeah.
I've not, but I find it interesting. I've played golf on my phone, and I've tried playing it, and it's very fascinating.
Correct.
The kind of things that they're able to do is just mental, dude. I mean, you're figuring out wind speed, texture of the land, and then figuring out, okay, if I hit the ball at this particular speed, it'll go and fall into this. It's like it's a superpower, right? To be able to do that. Like, how do you even teach that? It's there for you to see, but you can't learn it. So, but I've never somehow, there's a lot of walking. So it's not a very, sport that you can sit and watch for hours. So, yeah, that's about it.
Is there any adrenaline rush like when you watch any, like when the golf, like in the finals of goals or goals or something?
Like I scream so loudly, I jump on the couch. It's crazy. When I watch football, I don't know what I'm doing. Like especially when we are known, Liverpool is known for our comebacks. So we'll be losing till the 90th minute, and then suddenly we'll win. So until the 90th minute, everybody is piling on, everybody's making fun of you, and then in the last 2 minutes you win. So that kind of rush is like there is nothing compares to it.
Then why is golf they call golf as the costliest game?
It is a very privileged
Is
sport.
it because of the prize money that
Prize
you get?
money is huge.
Prize money, and also the entry way into that sport is the gatekeeping it's a lot of rich people play it. That's the beauty of soccer. Football, anybody can play, and that is why I feel it is the game of the world. Like Earth's sport is football, because everybody has access to it, and the greatest players come from the poverty that they come from is unbelievable. Like I was reading a story recently about Ronaldinho when he won the Ballon d'Or. His father apparently couldn't buy him shoes, but he used to tell him that he's not playing well enough or something like that, but he couldn't afford him shoes. And when he received the award, the only thing that he wanted was his father to be present, to see him. So they come from that kind of poverty, and football is the way for them to grow. So you have such great stories that you constantly see. Golf, I think, is a very privileged sport. As in, there's one nice documentary, one film that had come out long back, where I think it's based in London or Scotland, where a guy from poverty who lives by the golf course. It's a British film, I think.
The greatest match ever played or something.
Something like that, yeah. Where he goes and takes part in the game of the rich. It's a very nice movie. That movie I really like. But golf as such is a very rich sport. Like the whole, I've been, when you go to a golf course, you're very intimidated. You're like, whoa. Like, am I wearing the right shoes? Am I wearing the right clothes? Will somebody come and say, no, go, your shirt is not clean? I get all those anxieties. Yeah, the greatest game ever played, yeah.
All right. No. Can we skip I have some questions of my own.
Okay.
And I will prioritize my questions.
Okay.
Sorry, members. After I finish with my questions, right? And this is the part that you should come back to. Please, Vijay, title it as when Hemanth
He's
has
having
a
a bad day.
Okay.
Super.
So, obviously, I looked you up after watching Side A. But then I see that I have already watched a lot of your work without knowing it was you.
Oh, okay.
Right? Can you open his filmography?
Yeah.
So,
I watched Kavaludari and Andadun.
And Andhadhun. Humble Politician Nagraj.
Hey, Humble Bolton Nagraj also. Yes. That was produced by you.
Dude, that is one of the most impressive filmographies. And I know you started in 2005-06, so it took you 10 years to even come here. But man, that's an enviable. They say in art you should not be envious and all. But dude, that's a fucking enviable this thing. So I haven't watched your first movie.
Okay.
But I'm curious.
Please
but
do.
I've read up on it, and it's got Anant Nag.
Anant Nag sir,
Then
But I like the meaning of Godi
Banna,
Banna,
Sadharana Maikat.
Sadhana Maikut. You know what does it mean? Wheatish complex looking like person.
Oh,
Godi Banna is wheatish color. Sadharana is average build. So it's when people go missing, that is the...
poster.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
No, actually in Doordarshan back in the day, when I was a kid, just before I think the your Sunday programs and all that,
Lost and found.
there used to be a announcement
Yes,
for missing people.
yes.
So that's where it sort of stuck. And my production was also called Lost
Yeah,
and Found
lost and
Films.
found.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Humble politician Nagraj. Andhadhun, I didn't know, man, that you wrote the screenplay.
I wrote up. I mean, it's very sweet of Sriram to give me credit for the work that I put in. But the interesting thing about Andhadhun is that I was working on Andhadhun before Godivanna.
Okay.
We had written. We were working together. I had seen the short film, the French short film, and by that time we were discussing other ideas. What do we work on? What film to make? I'd
You and
bounced.
Sridhar Raghu.
No, just me and him. So there are a lot of ideas that I had pitched to him. In fact, Kauludari was one of the ideas that I had pitched to him, and he had really liked. So he was like, "Okay, let's see. This is interesting. Write some more." And he's a writer's dream. In if you're looking for a mentor, the way he doesn't sit you down and explain. You have to write like this. Just the fact that he has watched so much of films, like he'll obscurely quote some film from 1970 and be like, in this Italian film this happened. And there are lots of times there were instances where I happened to have seen that film also, so we connected at that level. And he reads a lot, so he would recommend books and all that. So I loved working with him. And we got till the interval block where he has to go blind. And after that, it was just going all over. So he sort of put it on hold and then went and did Badlapur. So I was under the impression that the film is not going to happen. And I, by then, had started my film. It didn't take off and got shelved. So I went, into a dark place and then came out of it, made Gotivanna. And then he went back to it, worked with worked with 3 other writers. And then they worked on the second half. But one of the best experiences in terms of discussing with him is amazing. He's the kind of a person that you can just talk cinema and walk away knowing that you have learned like things when you speak to somebody who is a subject matter expert in the way they approach a certain thing, right? It is not things that you can find in a book which says, okay, save the cat or the 3-act structure, not those generic stuff. But things like, something has to happen here. Very fundamentally basic thing. Something is not working, right? And the problem solving that, that comes out of it is very interesting. And the way he writes is extremely fun to read.
Okay.
It's amazing. One of my best experiences.
He's also one of my favorite filmmakers.
Yeah. He's far above.
Yeah.
He's in a league of his own. Like, he's very special.
If you ever you always wonder what movie to watch, just watch his entire filmography from start to finish.
Yeah, his
And I
first film, which I have the pleasure of actually, requesting him, because it was a student film. He won the National Award for it.
Okay.
The premise of it is there's a guy running, and he's running through a series of events. Okay, and only at the end of the thing you realize that it's basically a guy running through the pages of a newspaper. Like from
Politics,
it's a death, celebration, and then and finally he gets it's like, what if he approached the story from the newspaper? I was like blown away by it. Like the very idea of it, like his filmography is, I'm a huge fan. Like for me, the thing that you are picking up my filmography and saying, okay, this is very interesting, it really makes my heart very warm, because that is something that I'm very particular about. I want to leave behind my work. I don't care if people don't know who I am. Like, people need to know that I've done these films. And if they remember me through films, then they don't even need to know my name. Like, the fact that I saw one film, it was nice. That is what I'm working for.
Yeah, but that is one of those, impressive filmographies. All right. Then I watched the Telugu version, the Telugu remake
Of Kavludari.
of Kavludari.
I
And
haven't seen it.
then of course Sapta Sagara. Right? But this is my question, and if it seems like over analyzing it, you can feel free to tell me, I can take it. But like there is always this theme of like separation and memories in your movies. Is that, am I right first of all in assuming that? Because your first movie, I mean, I just read the
Yeah,
premise, but it is about that.
Yeah.
And Sapta Sagara is also about people kind of living in their memories, you know, like
Yeah.
they're not even together for the entire
Yeah.
movie. Is that
Kavludari doesn't thankfully fall in that
Yeah.
thing. I don't know actually. I'm not. I don't take myself seriously enough to figure out like these are the things that are very central to me, or these are the things that actually like I don't want to find out actually.
Okay,
Like,
cool. Then I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I completely get where you're coming from. I am conscious of it when I'm writing. Like when I'm writing my next film, if I'm writing a scene where there is a little bit of memory, this question comes up.
Oh shit.
Not from your perspective, from my own perspective.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry for planting that.
No. It happens even before that. That's what I'm trying to say. That I'm already thinking like, is it similar to something that I've already written? See, the way I look at it is that the business of like what I do is very much in the public realm, right? So I want the applause, I want the laughter, I want people crying, and I'm trying to engineer it, right? I also don't want to know the exact formula. If I do this, they're going to react this way. And that is a very easy trap to fall into. So I have to consciously walk away from that feeling where I am like, okay, I don't want to know what the audience actually like, then I will be like a circus monkey. Like they will clap and I will do a trick and they will clap, or because they clapped, I will do the trick. So I don't want to get into that very mechanical space. So I try and detach as quickly as possible from the film and its reaction. So, but there are like things that you learn from the film, like through a discussion with a fellow writer or with a critic or with a journalist or with film lovers, cinephiles. They'll say, this thing I noticed. Those conversations are very instrumental in terms of how I approach work. But the general, when it comes in hordes and numbers, it's very overwhelming. I step away from it quickly.
That's a beautiful answer, dude. What you just gave. Yeah, really. And forget I asked the question. Fuck that.
No, but I in fact have told this to a lot of people. You should never become the circus monkey, because that is the biggest trap of the business. Because if you start working for the claps, you will only get claps, and more often than not, life will take away the thing that you want most, right? So you want the claps, you will not get it so easily. Like there is a certain naivety, which is what I admire so much about somebody like Rajamouli sir, because he seems to go back to the drawing board with every film, like irrespective of it. Like you can see it. The reason why it connects, he creates that wow moment is because I don't think he has cracked it. He's figured out, solved complex problems, but he's not cracked it, saying, okay, if I do this, this will happen.
Correct.
There is a certain respect with which you observe that, that thing. So that is very beautiful.
Okay. Cool. So I'll ask you another question. Again, not trying to dig out themes but I'm very curious how you went about the sound design for Sapta Sagara, because in theater and OTT, obviously I was listening on earphones, but there are these sounds that now I associate with your movie.
Oh, nice.
Like the waves,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are all these sounds like the ticking of the clock.
There's this tap when she drops sound.
It drops. Then there is the cassette that is going on. I think Sapta Sagara, one of the reasons why I love the movie so much is that I love the way the sound was designed for the movie. What did you have it? Can you just tell us?
I'm a huge believer that the theatrical experience actually is the sound of the film. It's because if you watch a big screen, it is just the same. But if the sound is not there, you don't get into the visual. You don't go inside. I feel sound is a very nice way to hold people in. Like, it's almost like if you were to visualize it, it feels like somebody is putting their hands around you and like pulling you back. Sound has that power. And for me, I am very, very like a very auditory person, in the sense that I listen to a lot of music, sounds. Like when I go to a place, the sound of it invariably is something that I clock. Like I can pick up the sound of the AC. The moment I sat down, I was like, that those are the sounds of this place. So I feel in story, the thing that was very interesting for me when I went to write the FTI entrance exam, and the biggest thing, I wrote the exam, I got in, but I was like, I was a terrible student in life. So I was like, I don't want to get into something with passion and be another failure.
Which department, like which stream did you apply for?
I applied for cinematography. But then I was like, maybe I don't want to go to a film school, because I don't want to learn that way, because I've never been good at in school and college. So I was like, I'll learn it on my own types. So in the exam, it's the best exam. Like if you ever are a film buff and you want to just enjoy a good exam, have a good exam experience, you should write the FTI exam. I don't know what it is today, but there was a visual that is given to you in the exam thing, where they say it's the photo that I had was a couple sitting and looking outside the window. The boy is looking this way, the girl is looking this way, and it's like a moody shot. I'm supposed to write a story for that visual. Now that's a beautiful exercise in writing, right? You can write any scene. You can write 10 scenes. You can write a happy scene, sad scene, and you can discover a writer in you that way. There was one more exercise which said you have to write a scene only using sound.
Oh.
Like basically, you hear footsteps at the distance. You can hear the sound of a train. So when I did this exercise, there was this thing that opened in my head. I'm like, holy fuck! I can actually put visuals in other people's head just by using elements of sound. So that really opened up a huge window. So that one simple exercise became sort of a constant. Every time I sit down to write, I'm like, what is the sound script for it? What is the sound elements that? So when I'm writing a film, I'll have sound as a character invariably in one way or the other. It's there in all my films. In Godibanna, there was a scene where I wanted to show eerie silence between a father and son. So there is a scene where you've not seen the film. I don't want to ruin it.
No, please tell me.
There is a scene where the father and son are talking to each other over a cricket match, and they are like, Sachin is a better player. Sachin got out, but Rahul Dravid is a better player, and that is happening. And in between them, their mother is sitting. She is a cancer patient. It looks like she's on her way out. Now, the TV goes off because the power goes off. Now there is silence and there's nothing for them to talk. And the mother becomes like the bridge between the two people. And she says, after I go, what are you guys going to talk about? So there is a sound of a fly, which I wanted, which will sort of, that is when do you hear the sound of a fly? When everything is quiet,
Absolute
right?
silence.
So when I presented this idea to my sound designer, I've learned a lot of sound design from Raja Krishna sir. Like his approach towards how to punctuate. Like I will give him, if I tell him this is my idea. So what he did, which blew my mind, was he introduced the sound of a fan in the scene, right? So when the fan is, you don't notice the sound of the fan. When the current goes, everything becomes quiet. The fan slowly comes to a halt, introduces silence into the scene. Then he adds the fly. And I was like, oh man, that is just brilliant. And when I saw it happen, I was like, he took the idea that I had of the fly and he made something totally marvelous out of it. So like when you work with somebody of that caliber, you really get to explore, sound as a entity, So yeah, it's very exciting. I really enjoy working on the sound auditory experience. Things like in side A, there is the fact, like when he presses the play and all the factory sounds go away and you just go into her voice, the breath of her voice, like all of it, that was all by design. And when you're doing it, you always are under that notion that who will give a fuck about this? Who will want to watch this? Who will people are not going to understand. But I strongly believe that they don't have to understand it. They don't even have to know this information.
Correct.
But I can use this information to reel them in to make the film more pleasurable for them. Right? It doesn't matter for them if it is 8K, 4K, 6K, or I shot in this camera, that camera. It has to look a certain way for them to be like, wow. So I have to do everything in my tool book. Use every tool book, every tool in the box to create the best experience for the audience. So
Also in side B, when the cassette plays in the beginning,
Yeah,
at
the
least in
scratch.
there's a lot of scratch
Yeah.
that he's playing it for the first time after like 10 years.
Yeah.
So then there's like, I had to like closely listen to what she was like talking, and there's
So that is because I used to listen to lot of tapes. For my birthday, when my parents were like, "What do you want?" I'd be like, "This Iron Maiden released a new album. So I want a tape of it." I listen to a lot of hard rock. I've grown up listening to a lot of music. I try and be as diverse as possible in my music listening. So I had built up a huge collection of tapes. So over the years, I would listen to it, and then once digital medium came, I used to download songs over like 128 kbps connections, where you connect and it goes key, and it's probably unheard of for the today's generation. But I used to sit and download like albums from from illegal sites, obviously, and then play it into an aux player and record the tape. So, and then I would listen to it on my Walkman and read and whatnot. So for me, that experience of listening to the tape over and over and over again, I know that feeling. Like for me, the Black Album, Metallica Black Album, like I still have it. If I play it, it'll sound like that, where the voice feels very stretched. You have this, yeah. So I wanted to create that effect. So when I explained this idea, the other aspect of sound is a guy called Vishnu, who does sound effects. Rajakrishnan sir does the mix. So Vishnu immediately got it because he's also like retro. He comes from the same kind of age. So he immediately got the idea and he worked on the voice. And then Rajakrishnan sir, the interesting thing is because he used close to 128, 129 filters to get the kind of texture that we are looking at, that we feel in the film. Now it is not like you do this. It's not like Photoshop. Like ultimately you arrive at the sound using some technique. You make this 5% less, you make this 7% less, blah, blah, blah. And then you arrive at it and you're like, how does this sound? Sounds superb. Great. Now we have to do it in 4 languages. That is where you're like, this whole making the film in 4 languages experience really just, it's a sucker punch because you're like, now it becomes mechanical. The 4 times you have to repeat it, you have to check, okay, 40%, 35%, you have to do that mechanically. That is excruciating.
nice.
So-
Also,
sorry.
one more nice thing I liked after, like I watched this last night only, side B. Because of sound design, ఇది గుర్తొచ్చింది that ఒకటేమో sorry.
No, you can, I'll try and understand. I want to learn.
One thing is like he listens to the C sound
Yeah.
in Shankam, no, which like actually eases him out.
Yeah.
But same water sound on the opposite side, the drop sounds like irritate him.
Yeah.
And that's why he stops it. And last, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, it's okay.
And last, when he's dying, also that drop sounds only comes, and that.
Yeah.
So it's like total contrast to Adi.
Yeah, like for me, that whole thing of something being very pleasant, the sound of the sea being pleasant, and having, it's like when he's in jail, right? When he's in solitary, there is this moment where there is that drop thing that is happening constantly around him. And if you actually see the graph, the way, at least I don't know how much of it came across, but the way I had visualized it and the way I'd written it is something that is very hard hitting for you. Initially, he's screaming. The sound of the drop is really painful for him. But by the end of it, he's sitting very matter-of-factly even with the sound. Like the sound has become more, but he's not reacted to it because in what he's about to do is 10 times more painful. He's breaking up with her. So I wanted to show that using sound. So again, these are all very complex ideas, and I feel like I'm taking a huge punt like with the producers and with the film, because I'm like, if people don't get this emotion, it's gone. Like people will disconnect. But I'm like, that is also the fun part of
Yeah,
making
no, but
the
thank
film.
you for doing it, and please keep doing it because
I mean, that is how I know how to make films. So I enjoyed doing that. But of course, I will show it to 5 people. I'll ask, is this idea coming across? Many times they say it doesn't come across. But I take a risk, and sometimes I'll be like, it's okay if it doesn't come across. The same emotion is punching in the next scene, so it's okay, So, but yeah, the sound of the drop. The whole idea was to use uh, that that thing within his mind where he's listening to something that is very pleasant, but in the other ear he is listening to something that is very harsh. So living in that space is what Manu's life is in a way.
you know how I interpreted that. Uh, so the first thing she says that we live by the sea, right? And so for the sea, it's the whole sea, dude.
Yeah.
And now his life is restricted to a drop one after the other. So I was like,
Oh,
that
wow.
kind of broke
Nice.
my heart. That he was going for the sea.
Yeah.
And now
No, a
he's
drop is bugging
reduced
him.
to like
Yeah,
one
correct.
drop. Like it's
And
the
his
sea
side is
only.
almost same every
Because in
like,
Hindi
drop.
there's no boon boon se sagar banta. So sagar hi hai, but just one drop at a time, just like Chinese torture.
That shot was actually a CG shot which we couldn't land. The shot design was that you have the water. So when the water falls, the ripple looks like a wave. So it's going to, the camera moves like this, and then it goes and reveals him. So the idea was to suggest this wave thing, but it was not coming across, and also the length of the shot was too long. So, and the CG was not looking very like those are things where I am very brutal with my own ideas. If it is not landing, if it is not translating exactly like how I wanted, I'll be like, I'll shoot this idea. It's okay. I don't want to, force it and then make it look stupid. So that I had to let go of that one.
The few shots were very interesting. If you remember, when he checks out that in the new rented space, there is someone singing over there.
Yeah.
How he comes and he finds, and then it turns, and then she comes like. How you with the shot you played with the time?
Yeah.
Obviously, I could like think, okay, how you would have shot it. That was really
Yeah. I mean, that is the best part for me, making the film, like experimenting, trying these things, trying to get into the fundamental element of filmmaking as a craft is you have the tools at disposal to make the experience more relatable to the audience, right? Why is there a close up? Why is there a mid shot? Why is there a long shot? If I want to show somebody suffering, I don't want to show it in a long shot. I will lose out on the actor's performance. I will lose out on the detailing of what he's bringing to the table. So I need to sort of use the craft to capture the, what he's giving. So I like going on that journey, and thankfully I've collaborated with some really great minds. With Advait and Charan. So all of this really enhances the experience for me.
And the other thing about sound is even in the writing, there is an association of people and listening in the movie, right? Like he is got that thing.
Yeah.
He beats up that guy, he loses his hearing, so he has a hearing aid. And there is some association. And she's a singer, which is again like a audio profession. So I just loved all those associations with sound, and man, it was so beautiful.
And Side B actually took generally after watching Side A, you'll know maybe you have some expectations. So I didn't go through the reviews and all that. Okay, I know somewhere the story, it should go in my reach. But the way it was going, it was completely on the opposite side, and it's very. But I like Side A Enduko more.
I love Side B. You know why? Because I went in, it beat my expectations. Side A, I didn't know anything, right? So I went and I liked it. Generally, you're like, at least I do it, but so that you don't get disappointed, you set your own expectations low, right? So, like India won this T20 World Cup. Next T20 World Cup, what will you be? You'll be like, hey man.
Yeah, actually, my expectations for Side B was more. Yeah, true.
I went in like reducing my own expectations, and yet it kind of beat the higher expectations that I would have had anyway. I'll tell you one more thing that I really loved about both the movies is that you shoot your characters and you write them with such a humane lens, that there is no judgment. There is just like, so nobody seems like a villain in your story actually. Like even the villain who is whatever, kind of close to the prototype of a villain, I was like, okay, man, you fucked him up in the jail.
Yeah.
He lost his hearing. Obviously, he's going to come after
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
right? And then even if Vijay, you might want to close your ears for this. But even when the husband comes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Generally, what is it?
Correct,
Oh, he'll be a alcoholic. He'll beat her up. So I'm like, oh fuck, don't go there. Then as soon as he comes in the bar,
Yeah,
I'm like,
actually,
oh shit, no. But then even he is shown as such a,
that
such
was
a human
unexpected
view. Oh my
And it was so
god, dude.
relatable that he lost a good running business. So he was
Yeah.
so they were actually having a good
No,
family.
the thing, I think, I don't know if this is where it comes from, but it comes from things I see. So when I was doing Godivanna, we were working in the studio in Indranagar, with which a friend of mine was sweet enough to sort of house us there. His name is Chetan. So we used to stay in the studio practically. He had sort of given up his entire studio for us. And right underneath the studio, it oversees the Indranagar RTO. So there in the Indranagar RTO, there is a biryani place. Okay. You should see the crowd there. And it was unbelievably tasty. Okay. So many times we used to go have biryani there. And right from his store, underneath the studio, there is a nice, shiny restaurant space. So this because the business was booming, he shifted here. Okay. To this shiny looking corner shop. It just business didn't take off. Literally 100 meters. Somehow it didn't translate and he lost all his customers. I don't know where those people went. It's literally the same biryani seller is selling here 100 meters away. Better place, better seating. Okay. But you're not, the business didn't work. And it was like 2000, Godimana time. So we used to come downstairs to smoke. So when I'm smoking, he used to sit there, the cashier, and he's looking, his eye line is his old stop. And I was sitting there and thinking, man, how does this guy sit every day and how does he go about life? He's seeing his failure right in front of him. That was such a visceral moment because I felt what he was feeling. I was able to feel what he was able to feel. And I remember I make notes whenever I see things like this, I write it down. And it had stayed. So when I was writing Deepak's character, I was like, I know who he is immediately. Because he's not a bad guy. He's not, but it's hard to constantly look at your defeat. It's the most cruel thing that somebody can go through. Like some people do it consciously, some people do it unconsciously. So it was very, for me, it was very intense, that thing. So that's how I don't know that if that is what humanizes the characters, but I see people, all these people I've seen a Manu, I've seen a Priya in some way or the other. When I went to prison to interview a lot of convicts, when they spoke, the way they speak, you can see regret in them. And there is no different to who I am as a person. There is absolutely no different. They have done something despicable and it is unforgivable. And society is rightful in punishing them. But also at the same time, you must be open enough to at least have a conversation and understand who they are as people. So yeah, I generally don't like films that are trying to give a message. Generally, like be it good message, bad message. I generally don't like films where the filmmaker takes the tone of I know better than you. Like I don't know anything, boss. I'm struggling in life. Like I there are times when I grow up and I wake up and I'm like, why do I even live? You have existential moments where you have questions that you don't know. You generally feel a certain way. So who am I to go and tell good people, hardworking people, how they should go about their lives, what their value system is, what their belief system is, what is good for society, what is bad for society? My job as a filmmaker is hold a mirror to what life I am seeing, right? And then let people decide for themselves. So yeah, that is what I've always done. Hopefully, I continue.
Now, my final bit about sound and his movie is this. Of course, I discovered it on Twitter after somebody shared it. Is that you put in the sound of the bird?
Yeah.
Do you know that? So apparently, can I reveal it?
Yeah, I think
Actually, you do it. It's
no,
your
please.
movie. So, in the final inside B, when he's passing on to the next realm, right? There is a sound that is there in the sound design. It's of a bird that sound was of the last male species of that particular bird that is calling out to the bird sounds a mating call. So it's calling out and there is no reply.
Oh.
And that sound has been put there. And when I read it, I was like, my God. And you, I think, responded. You said, thank you for noticing.
I am like, first of all, somebody noticed it itself is like.
But how you know it is like the last sound of that?
So there is
It was
there is a documentary
Oh.
again. It all comes back to watching random at 3 o'clock at night. I'm sitting and watching Discovery Channel, and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? And 10 years later, I'm like, that is where I got it from.
Oh.
So there is a team of scientists that actually, it's fascinating. Like the very fact that we have human beings doing this as a job is so bloody fascinating. A team of scientists go around the world capturing the last sounds made by that species. Because there are so many species of animals, birds that are going extinct. So their job is to capture for future purposes that such a life form existed, right? So one of the things that they had captured was this male Huawei bird. It makes a mating call and they recorded it, and it's the last ever male bird. So there is no other bird like it. There's no
so
female in the world.
There's no response then.
There's no response. So, but it's still crying and calling out. So when that thing itself was so like emotional for me when I heard it, and I was like, this has to somehow find its way into the film. I didn't even think somebody would notice. When you're geeking out about your film, you're adding 100 details. You don't do it because you want to have a discussion about it somewhere. You're doing it because like I like doing it. It's my film. Like where else will I do it? So there are many places like this where many things that have not been uncovered also. But somebody spotted it, and I was like, how can somebody figure it out? Like it's so random. You're watching a film. In the background, you hear the sound, and I was like, wow. I just responded saying, wow, this is crazy. And that really blew up. Like a lot of people appreciated it.
And you know what? I feel like thanks to that guy who found it, because being the humble guy that he is actually a humble politician, Nagaraj. He would never even have mentioned it. And then we wouldn't even have known probably, right? I don't think.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have mentioned it.
Yeah, that's
100% I wouldn't have mentioned it.
Which is so amazing.
I mentioned it to my actors when they were performing. I went and told, and I think it plays on them, right? Knowing this information.
Correct.
Sometimes as a director, your job is also not to give them too much information. Sometimes I don't go and tell them this. I don't go tell an actor, just raise your hand and wave and look at the camera and smile. You need to contextualize it. But at the same time, you don't want to overpopulate with information saying, I'm actually going to cut here and add this sound and all that. But this somehow, I explained it to Rakshit, and Rakshit immediately was like, wow, I get it. I get the emotion now, and he just like lived the character.
So now, the next question depends on you answering another question, right? It's like an unlocking of that. So now when this guy found it, it must have given you a lot of joy, right? So the other things that you have put into the movie, would you want people to discover it and come to you, or are you okay sharing and like?
There was somebody else, because of this, people started, interpreting. There was Twitter is full of like, I love humor where they're like, he walked through the door, you know what it means, and then there'll be like a complete takedown of he's adding detail in everything, he's over detailed, and like I find it hilarious when people do that as well. It's like kind of a bit of a trolling, and you enjoy the humor of it as well. And there are some people who have actually, like in one of the scenes, the clocks, the scene behind the clocks, all the clocks behind Rakshit are stuck. They are not moving. All the clocks behind Chaitra are moving. So the idea that I'd explained to my sound designer was that I want the right channel to not have the ticking sound. Only on the left channel you have the ticking sound. But my sound, Rajakrishnan sir told me 100% nobody will get this. Like nobody will understand all of this.
And are they on the left and the right of the frame?
Yeah.
Oh my
God. It's a 2-shot. On the left, she's sitting. On the right, he's sitting. So the clock, the time is kind of stopped for him, right? So his side, there is no sound of the clock. On her side, there is sound. So he did it, but I don't think it translates well.
No, but I'll
enough.
now check it out. Like, can you give us any more such like things that? that we might enjoy on the second viewing?
There are, I think, I mean, a lot of people seem to have missed this very obvious thing. Uh, there is, maybe I'm stating the obvious because just a couple of days back, somebody asked me this question, and their feedback was that his death felt very long. And it's like he died quite quickly. The moment he touches that conch, where did the conch come from, right? I mean, the conch is a surreal element. It's magic surrealism in the sense that it just randomly appeared out of nowhere. So the fact that he's touching it means he's dead. And if you actually see, his wound is healing, right? The blood is going back. His scars are going away. So a lot of people have not even seen that. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I needed an extra close up to punch the idea. So I don't know if there are a lot of sound related stuff in side A, for example. When Priya is sitting in the bathroom and there is this, when she was crying, there is this sound that she makes. So if you see the sound cut, it actually cuts to her making that sound. It cuts to a wide shot of the speaker. So it feels like the sound, of her crying hits the speaker, and you're hearing that, and he's standing and watching that speaker. Like even the way the sound design is done, it's again only on the right side of the channel. So like in the theater, you can actually feel the sound go from, like, you can see it travel physically. Like, so that was very, there are many such things, like all tiny things. But yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for making those movies. And I'll look directly to the camera editor, please. Hemanth, I know you're having a bad day. Just remember that you've made two of the most beautiful movies in the last few years. Thanks. So then we have to plug in the members. Right?
Okay.
Okay, so just ignore for the next 1 minute. Yes. If you want to ask your question, if you want to ask your questions to our guests, become a member. We have memberships at 29 rupees per month. We're competing with Jio Cinema over there.
Yes.
And the second membership is 299. Right? The first one is called 30 ml, which you get for 29 rupees. And the second one is
quarter bottle
for 299 rupees, where you get access to our live shows and stuff like that. So please become a member. And we are going to read out the members' questions. So now we have some member questions.
Yes.
If you want to ask questions, please become member. All right. Guru Raj Sawant says, hey man, I love the way you blend the two perspectives of characters so well and keep the emotional switch consistent. I want you to tell in brief, if possible, how you write these completely different characters. Like, do you start with the character's journey or start with moments building into sequences? And also would love to know your discussion with Charan Raj regarding the score to each character, which felt very good.
With regard to Charan's score, I create a playlist which I listen to when I write. It sort of helps me. Like, I'm writing my next film and I've made a playlist for it. I'm the kind of a guy who loves making tapes. High Fidelity is one of my favorite books. So it's like this whole thing where you make a tape for everything. You make a mix tape for everything. So making playlists is something that I do. So I make a playlist for the film, and a lot of times when I'm writing a scene, the music sort of is already there. The mood is already there, and writing is a very difficult process, right? I mean, there will be 200 things that I have to fall into that mood. And music is the quickest way to get into that zone. Where you start listening to music and you're like, okay, this is the world, this is the character, this is the emotion. So that playlist I share with Charan and just ask him to listen whenever he's free. He keeps listening, and he familiarizes with the soundscape of the film. And then very specifically, I will tell him that, I'm thinking of a little bit of jazz here. I want to treat it with a little bit of, like, another thing, with coming back to the thing that probably not many people picked up on, is the way sound, the title song, Sapta Sagaradaache Ello title song in side A and side B. I have grown up listening to a lot of, for me, one of my favorite albums is Nativity in Black. Nativity in Black is basically a cover album where Black Sabbath's greatest hits were performed by contemporary hard rock musicians. Like, if you look at the soundtrack for I Am Sam, the entire soundtrack is Beatles songs, but performed by contemporary musicians. So if the rendition of the new artist to an old song is a very beautiful thing. So I wanted the song to have two different, you know, uh, appeal in terms of how you listen to it. So which is why side A has a very nice kind of a thing, and side B has a
like
totally
rock.
different.
Yeah.
So it was my like, let's do a cover, from the like Whiskey in the Jar, for example, is a Metallica song which has been covered. I mean, Whiskey in the Jar. Metallica covered it, but the original version sounds drastically different. It's almost like a country song, but here you have like a proper guitar sequence. So that is what I was going for. So that kind of fun we end up having over the song process. With regard to the writing of the characters, I just try. I don't. I try and understand the characters completely. Like I try and understand what do they do, who are they as people. Like I want to be able to tell their story like I met them yesterday. So once I get that information, then the journey becomes easier because they're only reacting to a situation. If I am a very volatile person, a situation in front of me can bring out that volatile behavior. So figuring out the character becomes very important. Try to be brief.
Yeah. All right, next question. I'm sorry I have to read them out aloud, but
Yeah.
many people listen on Spotify
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something. So Rahul QB9XY, any plans of doing a movie in Telugu? My friend is a huge fan of you, including me. Can you shout out his Venkat Sai? Can you shout out Venkat Sai?
Venkat Sai.
Yeah. All right. And one small request. I know it's a little absurd for asking this, sir. Wish me and my friend to do well in our upcoming exam. Mama,
He asked with the emoji also.
yeah, he has a crying emoji. All right. So now,
Y'all
please,
wish-
you have to wish best
luck.
of luck also.
All the best, Venkat Sai and Rahul,
Yeah.
for your exams. I hope you do well.
And a small quote to you from my beloved Guru Shankar Nag, which I
ಸತ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಲ್ಗೋ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇದೆ ಇದ್ದವರೆಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ basically
What did it translate to?
the reading Kannada in English is little difficult. ಸತ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮಲ್ಗೋದು ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎದ್ದಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸಾಧಿಸು. After you die, you're anyways going to be sleeping. So when you're alive, do something with your life.
wow. I like how Rahul made you do two things, gave you a quote, didn't ask a question at all.
No, but
Any plans to do a movie?
I mean, see, for me, I would love to. Only thing is that for me to direct, for me to understand the emotion, I need to know the language. I don't know. I'll have to learn Telugu to make a film in Telugu. But I'd love to. I mean, you can never say never. But I like doing films from where I come from. Like where I am from, there is a certain kind of storytelling to that place, to people that I observe. My fear is that if I come and do a Telugu film, it will not be authentic. If I do, I probably can do a Hindi film because I can speak Hindi. I can read Hindi. I'm comfortable in Hindi. When I listen to music, the lyrics, complicated Hindi, also I can understand. But Telugu, it goes over my head. So until I feel comfortable, I don't know if it will be possible.
Thank you, Rahul. All right, Vamshi. Oh my God, long questions. All right, Vamshi1616. Thank you. Hi, sir. I'm a big fan of Sapta Sagara. I absolutely love the films, but love Side B a bit more. You and me, buddy. Side B felt like proper commercial revenge film, but with all the logic in place and the nativity of the story grounded, there was a heightened experience. Want to ask you, how did you approach the story and it stayed apart from other lackluster revenge dramas? And did the success of SSE A make you change your approach to make this a little bit mainstream or anything?
No. But I'd already shot both films. It was not like if the film came with a gap of like 7-10 weeks. So there was no time for me to go back and even look at the edit. There was a little bit of like all the flashes of Priya's character that Manu sees, that aspect of how much to add it as like a thought cut or a small silent cut that comes in between, that I figured out while after Side A. Not watching the audience's reaction, But for me, I got that clarity of, okay, these are all the intercuts that I have to have, where he sees her do this at the bus stand, and constantly sees her here and there. So that kind of thing is something that I made changes. But it is actually like, I didn't try to make it more commercial. The thing is that, see, there is a juxtaposition of emotion. I can't show. For me, the way I understand it is dealing with trauma, like Priya's example of not being able to sing, right? Not That is like a door that she has locked. She doesn't want to open the door ever, because it's a lot of painful memories for her. Opening that door is there's a lot of emotional violence that is put away. So I can't show that, because I have opted not to show her perspective inside B. It is more from Manu's perspective. So the violence, the reason why the fight is so bloody and so long, and it's almost like we intercut again, just like side A, we intercut the bloodiness of, if you actually see the cuts, when she enters the room, his face comes out and it's fully bloody. Like when she is standing in front of the mic, you in the sound design, actually you can hear his screaming, like he's screaming. It's almost like she's also screaming the same scream, right? Because finding your voice and doing it after so many years is not easy, right? So that is the reason why the design of the fight was so bloody and so violent. But a lot of people thought it was commercial, but which is also fine. I mean, that was my reasoning, was this basically.
All right. Also, I know you're a Liverpool fan. What is your usual routine around match days? Where do you think we'll finish this season? His own agenda he put off. And your thoughts on our new era under a new gaffer. Is that gaffer? Jaffer? I don't know.
Gaffer.
I'm so proud as a co-LFC fan that you're making amazing films. We'll be cheering for all your future works too. You never walk alone.
Yeah, nice,
Cool.
beautiful.
Thank you, Vamshi Once. Hey, Vamshi Once has asked earlier also, no?
What's your usual routine around match days? Where do you think?
No, I don't have a usual routine as such. I usually watch at home. I try and, I mean, I've stopped drinking that often now. But once in a while, I'll have a beer and watch the match. It's like me and nothing else. It's just the match and me types. So my dogs are always around me. So I'm very superstitious with regard to making sure that my wife is sitting also. She hates it, but I'll force her to sit and watch. She'll fall asleep most of the times. But yeah, that is the basic thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the new manager, Arnie Slot.
Ishwar Abhilash, which movie is more likely to be better? One with a good script and a bad director, or one with a bad script and a good director?
I think without a good script, you can't do anything. It's impossible to make good cinema without a good script. So I think it's like the least amount of baggage that you give a technician to work with, the better his performance will be. Right? If you tie him down with a bad script, he will not be able to flourish. It's like, the chances of him making it into a good film is very less, because the material is not there. So everything comes from the script. The foundational element for any good film is the script. And it can certainly expose a good director. Like a bad script can expose a good director. And a good script can
Mask.
mask a bad director also.
Cool. All right, Ravi Teja. I literally cried after watching SSC A and B. Only few directors can make that impact through the movies. For me, it is the best movie from Kannada. Only question from my side: why you separated Priya, Mama? Main question he asked. All right, I also actually felt this as a part-time emotional person. Why you separated Priya from Manu? And see, he's not just asking. Dot, question mark. All right, that's some serious shit. All right, hope you will create same or much more impact with Shivanna movie. I'm already seated for that movie because of the tag, a film by Hemanth Rao. All right. So why did you separate them?
No, actually, see, the thing about love stories, right? There's a very nice scene, I think, in Chunkwing Express, where Wong Kar-wai, through the characters, he says that May is the character that he likes, and he he compares her love to a pineapple uh, jar, which has an expiry date. So the thing about relationships and love is it's so ever evolving, and what you feel instantly at the beginning of a relationship is it is very temporary. Vanishes away, and which is why you have, like, people say it's a honeymoon phase. Now it is, so that feeling somehow feels like you've lost it, right? It's no longer the same. So you have to constantly work towards something else. So, which is why I think over history, if you look at storytelling, romantic films, the tragedies are the ones that are most symbolic of the great loves, like your Romeo Juliet, Hiranja, and so on and so forth, because they it was so beautiful that they fought for only that emotion, which is a very beautiful way to look at it, in terms of, because we take it for granted after it's come into our lives. You end up taking it for granted. You don't you will say stuff like it's it's not exciting anymore. The fact that you're saying it is because you've taken it for granted in a way. So I think that is the template for celebrating a love story. And at the beginning of the film, I like writing a quote always for my own sake, which sort of summarizes. These are all like things that I find as distractions to sort of to make sure that I continue writing. So I said this in an interview also, but it's a quote that I regret not putting in the film. It says there are too many mediocre things in life. Your love should not be one of them. And I think that applies to everything, like your love for your work, your love to your parents, love to your pets. Like, love as an entity is a very powerful human emotion, and mediocrity is not acceptable for how powerful an emotion it is. So that is, I mean, that is the main reason why I think they shouldn't have gotten together, because there is a sense of them living on in incompletion in everybody's mind. The fact that he's asking this question is a good thing about not wanting this to happen to you, right? You should celebrate. I mean, I'm not preaching and saying people should celebrate it more. It's just that by template, that is the thing for love stories.
Cool. Kapil, please explain about your Andhadhun experience. Also, was it your aim always to go back and make movies in Kannada, or you came back as Hindi cinema is tough to mama? You came back as Hindi cinema is tough to crack.
No, I only went to make Hindi films because I was not getting opportunities in Kannada. I've only wanted to do films in Kannada. And if I ever make a film in outside Kannada, it will be because of lack of opportunity. It will not be because I don't want to make languages in my film in my language. Hindi, I went because back then I've met like almost 35 producers with a full-born script, and they were not even ready to listen to what I had to say. So I felt like a round peg in a square hole, where I didn't belong, I didn't fit. Nobody gave me a chance. So I was like, okay, at least I'll go somewhere else and try my luck. I was very deeply frustrated, which is when I went to Bombay and met a bunch of people, and I happened to meet Sriram. That's how it happened. But the first opportunity that I got, in fact, I was supposed to work on the direction team of Love, Sex or Dhoka, because I'd made a short film. Even to this day, if you look up that short, I don't know if the short film's still there, but that short film, it was called Framed. It's about a character who's making an audition video, and he's not able to. He starts the audition. He's very cocky, and he steps away. The camera follows him. It's like wherever he goes, the camera is following him. So he can't go out of the frame.
Oh.
So the only way he goes out of the frame is jumping out of the frame, and he dies. So it's like typical short film, when you're learning how to make. So I had shared this short film with Dibakar Banerjee, and he had really liked it. And I'd gone to meet him in Bombay, and I had got a good opportunity to work in his direction department.
For which movie?
LSD. LSD 1.
Yeah.
But right after that, I got a call saying that Puneet sir is ready to listen to a story about from the director that I was assisting then, Jacob Verghese. He had a chance to narrate a story to Puneet sir, and Puneet sir was very interested to work with Jacob sir. I took the first train back to Bangalore because I was like, I'm getting to work with Puneet sir. I'm working in Canada. What more can I ask for? So I came back. That's how, like, I don't want to go, but I felt like I needed to go. Otherwise, I would die. Like, I would suffocate. So yeah.
Also, now that you say it, I just realized I said Sridhar Raghavan instead of Sriram Raghavan. So I apologize for that.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I said Sridhar.
No, but,
I'm always confusing the two.
Yeah. But Sridhar sir also writes a lot. As in, I don't know if Sriram sir and Sridhar sir have a conversation that often, but Sridhar sir writes a lot for Hindi films.
Yeah.
But I think fundamentally any film is difficult to crack. Like in any language, the challenges are the same. If you're a newcomer, breaking into any industry is difficult because there is a lot of gatekeeping that happens. There is a lot of things that you have to figure out. Nobody will come and nobody owes you, anything. So to get it is very difficult. So to answer, is it tough to crack? It's tough to crack anywhere.
All right. This is the final question. Yagnasai, K. Yagnasai. Hi, Mr. Hemanth. What tragedy did you go through in life that made you make such a tragic love story? Double question mark. It crushed my heart so much that it took me few days to recover. Can't wait for your next. All the best.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
no tragedy. Thankfully, I've had my share of stories. Not just, I'm not saying romantically, but generally good things happen. You lose people in life. You lose, I lost my mother in February. So you sort of, that is not the main reason why you go make a film like this. But I'm a vessel. I have all those emotions. I don't know where to keep it. So ultimately, it comes through my story somewhere. But the film that I'm making next won't be like Sapta. That is the whole point, right? I don't want to keep making the same emotion because that way, then I'm, like I said, I don't want to be a circus monkey. So I want to do something completely different.
Yeah, the poster looks interesting. It looks like a fantasy.
It's a 12th century action drama. Very Shakespearean elements.
Also,
No,
it's
but I
funny.
would like-
Sorry, go on.
No, I would like to contradict that it's such a tragic love story because in one of the Q&A sessions held at when the Side A was releasing, one journalist had quoted a nice point. What she said, like, she didn't see this like a love story, but rather a story for freedom.
Oh yeah, that Abhilasha.
Yeah.
That question blew me away.
So
I
that
was
was
like,
like,
wow, what a beautiful.
Well done, Abhilasha.
What a beautiful question.
so
And I actually was like so overwhelmed. I had a big smile on my face. I was like, that's such a beautiful question. You generally don't come across a good question like that, right? Even I think Rakshit was very, but it is in many ways.
Yeah, it is actually, after when you look back now, it's actually it's more than a.
No,
love
I think,
story.
see, what happens is that many times in life, it is very common. You meet the right person, you think this is the person for me, but then that person has to move to another world for his or her own journey, right? Now, they're perfect for each other. Now, if the person doesn't go and stays back, there is always that bitterness of I stayed back for you.
Correct.
Right? So some stories should not,
No.
if they end up becoming together, there'll be a lot of, can you imagine the amount of fights that the Baru and Priya will have? It'll just be like,
You have to come up with side K.
yeah,
Side M.
I'll be explaining. And it'll always be that men love more, women love more. I think it's a very useless road down to go down on, basically.
All right. Next question. All right. So those were our questions. If you want to ask questions, become a member. So we'll keep this section a little light, right?
Well,
So no like, what is death to you and those kind of questions. But feel free to break into it if you feel the need.
compulsively.
Yeah, I need to. So I'm generally, actually, Santosh also more than me, we're fascinated with like people's childhoods, right? Because we are Sigmund Freud and Freud and junk. We are
amazing.
two fake psychologists. So many of the guests who came grew up in Hyderabad. So we always ask them like, what was Hyderabad in the 90s and what was that? But you grew up in Bangalore.
Bangalore, yeah, mostly. Bangalore, Mysore, and then Bangalore.
Okay. And I have a strange connection with Bangalore because for the last 6 years, I've been writing a humor column for the New Indian Express,
Okay.
but for the Bangalore version.
Oh, wow.
Bangalore
Right?
edition. Huh.
Yeah, for the Bangalore edition, which sometimes gets syndicated in Hyderabad, but it's essentially, it's called Urban Bourbon. If you subscribe to the New Indian Express, every Wednesday you'll see my face.
Oh, nice.
Right? With the column. And so I have to constantly keep track of Bangalore. Right? And of course, my childhood friends are there and we have like a connection with that place. So I am constantly on r/Bangalore and Bangalore News, Google Updates. And it's been 6 years now, right? And so I feel a strange
Connection to the
like I'm a
city.
ghost of Bangalore. Like I don't live there physically, I don't pay rent, but I have to be there to kind of be relevant. And so that is why it's like one of my favorite cities. And whatever people bitch about, like the traffic, and I'm like, fuck you, man. The fact that it has traffic is a sign of its civility. That people stop when there is a red line.
Yeah.
Like, why don't other cities have it? Because people don't follow fucking rules, man. It's just, So anyway, so I am okay with all of the traffic and all of that. But I'm very curious, what was it growing up in Bangalore like back then? Pre-internet.
It was like feels like a totally different city. Like so many aspects of it. Like a lot of my childhood was about going to different grounds, asking people, can I join? Naan Adboda is, can I play with you? So constantly doing that and then making friends and playing in different grounds. So those are my cherished memories. And of course, you have your cool joint and hot chips. And hot chips was like the big thing back then, and the chart there. So a lot of like, I still remember Bangalore being completely deserted by 9 o'clock, which is far cry from what it is today. Like it's like a retirement city, like back in the day, 94, 95, 96 and all. Very traffic jam and all was never heard of. So, and the people were, I feel I knew my neighbors. I could play with them and, I could connect with them. Now it's become very insular. I don't know my next door neighbor. And so, yeah, but I love Bangalore growing up. Like, it was amazing.
And it's funny, like Rahul Dravid was like the person from Bangalore, right? While we grew up. And his pet name was Jammy.
Yeah, Jamie.
Because of Kisan Jam.
Yeah.
But now it's a different kind of Jammy that you associate Bangalore with. Yeah. So what were you like as a child though? Like did you know you want to become a filmmaker? What were your
No, I
ambitions?
was very dramatic as a kid. I think one of the most notorious stories that I've heard, I don't have recollection of this, is that so if you have furniture in the house, the cane furnitures, people can crawl underneath, like a kid can crawl underneath. So apparently I used to make guns with like if you remove the ballpoint pen and put a rubber band around it, you sort of make a gun. And I used to hide underneath, and I'd be like, I'm a terrorist. I will kill you. I will put bomb. And my parents were like, sorry, he's a little,
Pitch and
So,
Tarandi.
yeah. I used to constantly get into fights, very volatile. I used to fight with a lot of people. And mostly through sports. Like, my parents used to be like, let him go play. He's okay. He'll come back, he'll get hurt somewhere, but it'll be okay types. But I was like massively into building my own world. Like, but I think my parents used to read a lot. My mother is a Kannada MA, and my dad is a MSc zoologist. So they, I think, were introduced into reading. So there were a lot of books at home. Invariably, because I was very bored, they'd ask me to read a book, like a story book. And they got me a library membership. So I used to constantly go to the library, and you get these commando comics. Like, I don't know if you're familiar. There are these war stories, basically from
British
World War II, World War I. It's basically brilliant real life stories, made up stories, and it's called, the entire series is called Commando. It's like your Marvel and everything, but way before that. So I have read that entire catalog because and I used to mark it. I used to go like line wise. I have read this row, now the next row, now the next row. So that I spent a lot of time doing that. That was in Mysore. When I shifted to Bangalore, it became much more harder for me because all my friends were in Mysore. I had a huge group of friends that I could play with. Shifting to Bangalore was a little hard initially because I didn't have any friends. So once I started walking out and making friends, then I started enjoying the city more.
And how was your equation in childhood with watching movies?
Oh, I still remember one of the first films that like it. I still remember that feeling. It blew my brains away. Is when my dad had got a cassette for Terminator. We had a VHS player. No, VHS player was also bought for rent. We couldn't afford to buy one, so it was brought for rent. And Terminator is the film. So you have that scene where he shoots and his head just goes out like that, right? And then joins back. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And my dad is a massive film buff. Like in his college days, apparently, my mother used to tell me that he used to come from Mysore to Bangalore, watch Sunday morning show, matinee show, evening show, night show, take the last bus and go back. Like Majestic is a area in Bangalore where you have main theaters.
Like artistic crossroads here.
Yeah. You have 8-9 theaters in one small area, and there's a huge bus stand. So a lot of floating population. So 8 theaters playing 8 different films almost. So he would watch 4 different films and then go back home. So he was so ingrained into cinema and movies, and my mother was into literature. I don't know how much of it has impacted me, but my father used to take me once in a while to Sterling Theatre in Mysore. That is the only theatre that plays English films. So
Same here also we had one.
There'll always be usually every city.
Same name with the same name.
Oh, Sterling only. It's called Sterling only. Oh wow, must be the same
also
owner.
the naming is like if it has an English name and it'll have all this
Correct.
Odeon,
Galaxy,
Heroes. So they play English movies. Others would be called like Sri
Sangeeta.
Lakshmi.
Correct.
Skyline and Sterling was.
Skyline and Sterling were theaters in Mysore
Maybe they
also.
were like chain of.
Possible. It will be very interesting if the owner is the same. I believe Sterling Theatre is no longer there. If I don't know.
Also, it's not there.
Yeah, it's very tragic. Whenever a theatre closes, I just feel very bad. But Sterling Theatre is I went and watched Chota Chetan there, the 3D experience. That was like, oh wow, that really made me go mad about movies. And I remember that very visceral feeling when we went. I think it was 6:30. I used to stand in front of my dad in the scooter. LML Vespa is what we had, and my mom used to sit behind. We used to go all the way to this location. And it was about evening, 6:30, after he's come back from work. So it was like I could see the sunset and all that. We went, finished the film and came out, complete darkness. It has rained, okay? And everything is shut. For me, I'm still in that world that I went to. When I came out, when I saw this, I was like, I was somewhere else. This is a new world. So how many hours was I inside? It was such a strong visceral feeling. I was like, oh wow, this is magic. So for me, my relation with film started with those very larger than life experiences. So I think that is fundamentally played a very big role in how I look at movies and the magic of it.
That's why you possibly also took a very early jump into the career by 2005.
No. When everybody was like, I figured out that I want to do movies very, very late. I did engineering 4 years, passed with great difficulty. Then 1 year I did all kinds of odd jobs. And I've done all kinds of odd jobs, dude. I was a DJ in a pub.
Wow!
Yeah.
What era was like? What songs used to be playing in the club at that
You won't
time?
believe it. I used to work as a DJ in this very popular chain called Purple Haze, briefly. And then the same establishment used to own a
Studio, right? Purple Haze Studios.
No. There used to be like a drinking place, which is very like old Bangalore pubs were very famous, right?
Okay.
Purple Haze. Then you have Picos. All of these places they used to play hard rock. That was the thing. So Purple Haze was like this really cool, where all the people, cool hip crowd comes. So I have to play these music videos. So and sort of gauge the mood of the scene.
Okay.
And by 11 o'clock, you start playing the classics and we will rock you, and then everybody goes berserk, and So I used to be the guy who used to change the songs. So they had another establishment called B11 in Jainagar. So I used to work as a VJ there.
VJ.
Like video jockey.
Okay.
Right? You have a collection of music videos, and you have 3 disc players. So by the time this video finishes, the next video has to start.
Okay.
And this is being screened.
Yeah,
okay.
the pubs will have these giant screens, and the music will be blaring, and people will come, will write a request, and they'll be drunk and like, dude, can you play this song? I want to this is for my girl. I'm thinking of her, and blah blah blah. And, I'm like, okay, man, I got your back, and So I've done that. So funniest incident is that somebody in B11, Bangalore at that point also had a lot of real estate culture. A lot of real estate booming, like a town, not a town, but a non-city becoming a full-blown city, right? So almost like a city becoming a metro sort of a phase, where you have suddenly people with money, and they're like, what is the cool thing? We'll come to a place. So it's a hard rock place. You don't go there and ask for random songs. So one request I still remember. One guy came up to me, and he's like, he was quite drunk, and he's like, Garana Mogudu. Like, dude, I don't have Garana Mogudu. Dude, this is a rock. I only have rock songs. He was like, no, I want Garana Mogudu. Garana Mogudu Haku. I was like, Illa Guru, I can't bring it. I don't have it. So then one of the bouncers came and took him away. Yeah. But that is a job that I did. I worked as a subtitling editor, where I did subtitles. I worked in journalism for Deccan Herald for some time.
What did you do there?
I was a feature journalist. Wow. So my very sweet editor, name is Rashmi Rao. I learned a lot about this life, the journal feature. No, I never used to report on stories, but there is a page called Metro Saga. So where you write, somebody 70 years old, they have a pottery studio, and they have come up with something which has got recognition. So I have to go interview that person. So I interviewed like very strange characters. Like sometimes when you interview a person, you realize that that is their 5 minutes of fame, that is their 15 minutes of fame, and the eagerness with which they're trying to present it is very nice to see. But sometimes you also see people, you can tell when you meet and talk to somebody for 5 minutes if they're an asshole. So it's very interesting, and you have to collect all of this and write it into 200 words and 300 words. So that experience was very nice. Like that, I've done crazy odd jobs. I've worked in IT for like 3-4 days. I worked, and then one of my managers came to me during lunch break, and he was like, "This is the contract. You have to sign the contract." I was like, "What is the contract?" So that you have to work with us for 2 years, and you have to pay us some money. Basically, I'm chaining myself to him, basically, and saying, I will not work for your competitor. So I was like, oh, okay, I will think about it. And that job I got with great difficulty. So during lunch break, I went off to I went to Picos, the place that I was telling you about. I went there. He's calling me. I was like, I didn't pick up. I never went back. So he'll probably watch this interview and be like, oh, this is the guy that ran away.
You gave him his answer. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, exactly.
With a movie or two.
Yeah. I also got involved in real estate because I just needed to feed myself and figure out a way to be independent. So I found out that real estate is something that they were like, you go show the land to somebody. There are so many things that I've done where in the middle of doing it, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, boss? Why is my life? And all my friends are like, one fellow is in US, somebody else is somewhere, and one guy is getting promoted, one guy is buying a car, and I am like, boss, what is happening with my life? It feels like I'm in free fall. Then got into movies. So yeah.
No, I can relate to that because I'm also like an odd jobs guy. And there was this one bit I was doing in the middle where I was doing calligraphy
Oh,
right? Because I have good handwriting. And some friend in childhood, some book, some shit. It's like hustle, you just do something. So then I find out there is one great calligraphy guy in Hyderabad who gets all the premium gigs. He has been writing for Siyasat daily, right? From a time when you had to write it by hand, right? Because it's Urdu, whatever, I don't know, whatever. So he's a legend. He would charge 50,000 to write 500 invitations or some, I don't remember the price. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying all this. Whatever, he would charge a high price. I'm like, oh shit, there's only 1% of the market. Let me
Enter,
Yeah, it's like a Chinese company entering and flooding the market. So I did it. And then obviously it'll be some Banjara Hills rich person. They're like, I want handwritten stuff. You know. And then I thought, okay, let me mint some more. So I started doing calligraphy classes that I'll teach. Whatever, dude. So I'm teaching calligraphy. Then after like 2-3 sessions, I noticed only kids are coming. Right. And I'm like, what the fuck is. I thought like some rich Jubilee Hills person was pursuing art or whatever. I'm like, only children are coming, dude. And then I find out the parents are like, they want the children to have good handwriting so they get better marks in exams.
Exams, yeah.
I'm like, Arey, what the fuck? That is the. Yeah, it is a good handwriting. But then I'll tell you, when I stopped, I just decided, dude, I can't be doing this. I'm doing it in hard cup. Ironically, we do stand up over there. So I'm already feeling a little guilty that on the same stage I'm telling jokes, but I'm also like, stroke should be like this and all. So imposter syndrome is there. One old man comes and he asks me, Kya chal raha hai? I get into the bullshit of calligraphy. It means the art of beautiful writing and all. His one question he had, ye kare to kya hota? I had no answer. I didn't know what the fuck to say. Right? And I'm like, dude, if you can't tell somebody what is the point of this, then you shouldn't be doing it. And then I just ended that. I'm like, fuck calligraphy. I can't do this.
Oh, that's a nice story. Ye kare to kya hota?
Kya hota? I
Is
had
it-
no
is that very
answer.
Hyderabadi, right?
Yeah, it's a Hyderabadi.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's a
Very deep question.
And he's an
also.
old man, 70s, dude.
It applies to life also.
Yeah. And he's a 70-year-old man who's seen the emergency. He's seen forced sterilization. What the fuck do I explain to him about
Ye kare to
beautiful
kya
writing?
hota?
I said, I don't know. And I just ended it like it is.
Nice.
Yeah. But there's some beauty to doing all these shit jobs.
Yeah. No. I mean, I have taken something or the other from each job. When I look back, I didn't realize I was taking it. I was cursing myself as to, what the fuck am I doing here? I used to do all kinds of odd jobs in advertising. I used to conduct auditions for very reputed directors for your thumbs up commercial. So if let's say the director is from somebody from Bombay or somebody here or somebody from Chennai, they would want to audition people from different parts of the country, right? Because you want to present the product to an Indian market, so you need to have a very Indian entity. So they used to conduct auditions, and I used to be the guy standing behind the camera. And my friend used to conduct the auditions. Her name is Vidya. So she had a studio, Kettle Studio, it was called. So I used to conduct the auditions. I used to, talk to the actors, tell them what their job is, direct them. So morning till evening, 30, 40, 50 people come. You have to be patient. You have to make sure that I understand for an actor to come and perform, they are trying to be vulnerable, right? Like I realized that it might be the 100th time for me, but for them it is the first time. So I have to get down to, making them feel like it's okay. It's a safe space. Let's do this. It's okay. So that figuring out, I used to get massively frustrated because I used to feel like I am putting up a mask for them. Like I used to be like I'm being so polite, but I am feeling all this angry energy towards this person. But then over time, I realized if I have to make a film, I have to treat actors that way. It's it's something that so each job that way has taught me something about filmmaking. Like I used to do a lot of production related work, figure out where the food will come from. So when I produced my own film, I figured out, okay, I can do this for cheaper. So in that sense, it has always helped. It'll never go waste. Work will never go waste, I feel.
I got reminded of a funny thing connecting three things that you said. One is Bangalore. One is I went for an ad shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I get a call, a friend refers me. Arey, you're trying as an actor, no? There's a nice ad that you want to do. I can directly get you through the casting director number ichesa. So I speak with the casting director. He tells like, okay, what's your pay? I said like I don't know how much to take for ad, and that it's one day. I didn't fix my rate per day. You tell me how much you want to give. You give. I'll give you 20,000 for one day. Wow. Definitely, I'm like, giving money. So what should I do? Like, yeah, come to Bangalore, and once you come to Bangalore, just like hit me up. And then we were communicating. He sent me a document to audition and send back. I did that also. So finally, I tell him on the previous day, hey, tomorrow I'm starting. You said like start on 17th or something. I'm starting. Like, yes, please come. Then I get down in the morning. We have my school friends who are there. So like, don't worry, dude. I'll take you where it's on Indira Nagar. I'll take you there. So on Indira Nagar, 80 feet road, one of my friends stays. So I get down there. I tell him in the morning at 6 o'clock. I got down like, yeah, let's catch up at 10:30. He says, like, dude, 10:30. He told 100 feet Indira Nagar, Starbucks somewhere. I think Starbucks or something. Okay, fine. Come there and call me. I go there at 10:30. I'm calling this guy. He's not picking the call. So I thought like by the time I go to 100 feet road Starbucks, there'll be like full generator van, so I can spot like where's this thing. And like it goes on. I was like, okay, maybe he's little somewhere else. So I call him after some like again half an hour, 20 minutes. Every half an hour keep it goes on till some 2:30, 3 o'clock. Then my friend says, like, do you think still the shoot will happen? I'm like, no ma, I came with a hope. So then from that day my friends took a case. Like, so you came for a shoot which is not happening. You're going to get like 20,000. So
No,
then
but why did he do it? Like, did he
I
ever?
don't know. At least like if he had some personal grudge for me, I don't know.
You knew him before?
No, I don't. That also is not possible. So nothing.
So
he knew.
strange.
And he tells me in the morning. So my friend is like saying, "Did you inform in the morning?" I'm like, "Yes." Like in the morning, he told me like 10:30, 100 feet Starbucks. So why will I come? And after coming there, he switches off. Like, dude, what kind of psycho is this guy?
No, it's, like the business is full of such weird people. Like one of my before Godivanna, before my first film started, we did Muhurat. I was supposed to start shooting. My producer then tells me that he doesn't have money. Before that, there was a incident where there is a very famous actor called Ramesh Arvind. I'm sure people will know of him. He's like,
Ramesh Arvind,
yeah,
the actor,
he's done some superb work. So his 100th film, I was supposed to direct actually. Like I've probably never said this anywhere. So I narrated. I went and met this producer through some contact. I was desperate to find a producer. Found one guy who will be like, okay, you seem like a. So he had this weird thing that he used to call me to. I stay in South Bangalore. He stays in the North Bangalore region. So it's almost like 26, 27 kilometers for me. He used to be like, okay, come for lunch. So his lunch break, he used to go to Bagini. There's a hotel called Bagini. And I used to sit with him when he used to have lunch and he'd be like, have something. I'd be like, I don't want to have anything. So this is the story, blah, blah, blah. And he used to do this almost every other day. Like, come, we'll talk. I used to go every day, like 26 kilometers go, 26 kilometers come back. I'm putting fuel from my own pocket. I'm like, what is happening? Then finally, I told him, this is the story. I think we should go and narrate to Ramesh sir because he'll have his own lineup. So we have to block his dates. So he was like, oh, so we can meet Ramesh sir. So he's like, yeah, you can meet Ramesh sir. So I took him. I contacted Ramesh sir. Ramesh sir was very sweet. He had heard the entire story. And I told him the story. And Ramesh sir really liked it. So this guy is like, okay, great. We're making the film. And then our man just stops answering my calls. And I'm like, wait, what is wrong? Then I call him and say, sir, I am not asking for money, but you have to give some advance to the actor and block his dates. So give some money to him. So he was like, okay, again, that whole come, we'll discuss. I'm like, every day I'm going. One day, finally, he calls and says, I call and tell him, sir, Ramesh sir had called. He is getting other offers, other actors, other stories are coming his way. So if we don't go block his dates, he will give it to somebody else, and he will be right in doing so. But he's been very, encouraging because he was like, this boy, I see some spark in him. He will do a good film. I want to work with him. So if for a senior actor to be saying that is a big deal. Let's lock him. He's Like, no, I'm traveling to South Africa. And he worked in Forex or something. I'm traveling to South Africa. I'm not available for another 2 weeks. And he kept the phone. And I was like, wait, something is off here. I got onto my bike. I went all the way, dude. Again, 26 kilometers. And I see him in his balcony smoking. Like in his office. Like used to go to his office, right? And he comes out of the balcony. Correct. Like he used to have a particular schedule. Like smokers will have that correct. At this time, they'll take a smoke break, no? I have been with him on that balcony for the smoke break. I'm standing down and I'm looking. And I was like, oh, God. Oh, this is absolute. Like the entire journey back, I was like crying. I was like screaming. I was so angry. But I don't know why people do this. It's like very cruel. It's a very cruel business.
Is this the detective work that you did? That you
No, that is different. I was.
Why don't you tell us about the time you were a detective?
I wanted to. I was. So there was this phase where I fell in love with French films. When I discovered French films, when I was watching all kinds of films, French films, there is this Alain Delon character from 400 Blows who grows up in bed and board.
Oh, yeah.
He becomes a detective.
Truffaut.
Yeah, Truffaut's.
Yeah.
Truffaut's Antoine Dunel series. So I was like, he becomes a detective, one of the stories. So I was like, I want to become detective. So I went, interviewed, and that there's a detective place in Jayanagar. I think still it exists. It's called Global Detective. Then I found out very quickly after first 2 days only that I have to find out, take photos of, this person is having an affair, go check. And I was like, no boss, exciting to hear, exciting to imagine, not exciting to do. But it was like
Yeah, actually, this brings me back to a debate I was having with Kirtiraj. He's also a comic, and like for me, the favorite part of doing comedy is after the show when the comics come and drink with each other, because that is one field you can be brutally honest.
yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
So Kirtiraj said something. He's like, dude, all these people who are artists only became that because they went through these experiences. And my thing was, no, they went through the experiences because there is something artistic inside them. Like, I feel like the cause and effect is that way. That that's why you find that many people who are artists have something weird or strange, some kind of different life experiences because they chose them. I feel like that is what made them choose those paths.
Yeah. No, I think so too. And a lot of things, actually, I'm very, very shy by nature, very introverted by nature. I still am. Like, I don't go out for premieres and all. You don't generally see me. I generally don't. But a lot of these experiences, in a way, have helped me overcome my own insecurities of talking to people, speaking up, understanding what somebody says, and you see characters, right? You start seeing different characters, like the way that detective guy who did the interview, I still remember, he had this thing that he used to do while talking, and I was like, and you see it's right in front of you, right? And there is no way you will forget it. So somewhere I know that one character somewhere that I write will have that.
But doesn't that the guy who gets a hearing aid, doesn't he do he has a tick with his mouth, like he's eating pan?
He's eating pan throughout. No, that actually I noticed Ramesh sir in some award function. He was sitting in front of me, and he's a director also. He had directed his debut film called Premier Padmini, which won Best Film, and Kavaludari happened to be nominated. I had gone to the function to receive the Best Actor award for Anand sir, on behalf of Anand sir. So he went to pick up the Best Director award, and he had this very, like, you are obviously happy, right, when you receive the Best Director award or whatever. So he had this smile on his face, and I saw that smile, and I was like, so evil. That smile is so evil. I want that smile. I was like, I want to use it somewhere, and I'd forgotten about it. And then when we were casting for Sapta, I think my DOP or somebody mentioned his name, and I was like, oh, I know him. That smile is what I have been looking for all this while, and that's how I went and spoke to him, and that's how it happened. So
Great actor, man.
Oh yeah, he's terrific. He's terrific. He's, by the way, I don't know if many people know, in KGF, the father who dies, the guy who's just lying down, you can't see his face, that is him.
Oh.
Yeah. In KGF 1.
So anyway, so you go through this phase, right, of doing all these
Random jobs.
odd jobs, right? So was there a moment like because your life is very like film like this was a montage of the child like
Yeah,
post
yeah.
post college. So was there a moment where which definitely made you decide that no, fuck all this, I'm going to make movies? Or how did that come about?
I think that happened as a consequence of a lot of failures, like a lot of trying and failing to do films. And back then, 2000, 2005, 2006, 2007, the digital medium of cameras being so easily accessible, high quality was not there. We were still shooting on film. So for me, the way I was thinking was stock. For my birthday, somehow, if I get 15,000 bucks, I can buy one can, which is basically 400 feet, which is 4 minutes of film. So if I have 20 cans, then I can make a short film and then make that short film and present it somewhere. And then maybe because of which I get recognized and then I get work. So I was thinking like that. So it was technologically very backward. YouTube had just come in. So the reason why people like me have a career is because of the technological aspect of it. It quickly became a big leveler where everybody could access a camera, everybody had the platform, so it became more accessible to do it. Firstly, and the general, I mean, it. The point where I sort of decided, okay, this is it, was where it became very clear was I remember I used to volunteer at this organization called Parikrama. It's a school for underprivileged kids. So I used to work with them because the people there were really, really amazing. Like some really enterprising, inspiring people. So I was working there for a fair bit of time, for about 5-6 months. Whenever in free time, fundraising and all that, I used to take part. So there I met one gentleman who, again, like myself, he comes from from some company in his free time, works and ghost types. So both of us are smokers. So we went for a walk, and on the walk back, he was asking me, "What is your plan, young guy? What are you doing? And what are your things in life?" And so I was like, "This is my plan A, plan B, plan C." So long walk. We finished the walk. We came I'm about to leave, and he said one thing which just stuck in my head. He said, sometimes the best plan is to have only plan A. Plan B, plan C, plan D will will make plan A weaker. Go all in or don't do it.
And cinema was your plan A.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that is good advice. Like, if you want to do one thing, just do one thing. And for me, I came from enough privilege, enough sort of cushioning for me to take those leaps and be like, okay, I can afford to be only plan A. At least, I didn't have to really, work to save money to fight, pay off some loans. Like a lot of people do that. So that is a constant reminder for me that, when I do what I do every day, it's itself a great thing. Like it is the best job in the world because I'm so lucky to be doing this, right? I mean, there are so many people who would bite my arm off to get this opportunity. So that was a clear point where I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Plan A is everything. I'm going to do films. But after that, there was like series of failures for about good 8-9 years. Lot of self-doubt, lot of depression, lot of like angst. Then eventually you sort of, it makes you, that whole process molds you to be stronger. And that's how I made my first film.
So your decision to become a filmmaker.
I realized this was supposed to be light and like very humorous. I just went off into a random direction. Anyway,
No,
sorry.
that's okay. We like the unpredictability of it. So, so this decision was 2006, and your first movie comes out in 2016.
Yeah, 10
So
years.
that is 10 years of you
Yeah.
just being a faceless guy
Yeah.
in the crowd doing their thing. Now, in Hyderabad also, and I'm sure in Bangalore and every city, there are a lot of these youngsters who are going through the same thing, right? And suppose they have left their homes and cities and they have come and they have decided, okay, I'm going to make movies. What advice would you give for them to survive both like financially, but also like mental sanity wise?
I think financially, the best advice is that you have to be self-sufficient. Like the reason why I used to do those odd jobs is because I wanted to pay bills. I didn't want to go and ask money at home and constantly be like, I need this money. And I wanted to be in a position where they don't have to pay for me, but I can take care of myself. So at a certain point, that became very important for me. So financial independency is very crucial because you understand how hard you have to work for your dream, right? That is a very integral process. And then the second thing for me is that the second thing that I would tell people is that the the thing that is in abundance today is validation. You have validation. Even if you put out a shitty piece of sentence, there'll be 5 people to like it. That doesn't mean you are closer to becoming good at that particular craft. There is a certain, you know, meditative, iterative process to anything that you do. It could be cinematography, it could be editing, it could be direction. You only get, like, there's a very famous line in I think Revolver where one of the characters says you get better by playing a better player. It's about chess. So you have to constantly become a better player, right? You have to constantly practice, go to the nets, play. Only then your skill becomes industry standard where you cannot be ignored. The thing is that if you are really good enough at what you do, then you will cut above mediocrity very easily. But getting to that point requires tremendous amount of hustle, dedication, and like a lot of sacrifices where you have to be very hard on yourself. But I actually am very scared. I don't know how I would have survived in this world because it is very very distractive in nature. Like the amount of distractions that existed for me back then versus what youngsters go through today is like heaven and earth in terms of. So I don't know how you can advise them to double down and work on something, but ultimately the reality is that you have to get good at it. Only then can it's like you do one podcast, it will still feel very glitchy, but you do 50, 60, 100, and then you start experimenting, you start playing around, and it is the common point across all things in life that I think today's generation misses out on. And like for example, editing is something that I constantly see. There are so many fantastic editors who keep doing these reels, right? Of they take some film from that thing, they take another film. And it's like a subculture, which is beautiful art in itself. But if I wonder, maybe I'm speaking as an old person, as a 40-year-old, I'm like, okay, what is their career going to be like? Because it's not going to pay you, right? So if you have to become an editor, then you have to study editing. You have to, it's not just putting 3 shots and making 16 seconds, but what is the next goal? Like, do they know that? I wonder. Probably they're much smarter than me. I don't want to think that they don't know, but I feel like sometimes when somebody writes to me and they're like, I made this edit, I feel this compulsive urge, like an old man, to say, by the way, also read this book and watch these films. But I don't want to also come across like an asshole who's like, talking down. So I'm like, okay, good, whatever. I mean, I hope it works out. But it is a very complicated thing for today's generation. I think focus is what I would advise.
And we'll take the recommendations list later. Huh? So we generally ask our guests to recommend movies, books and all, but we'll keep that out for now. So personally for you, that was advice that you gave to a lot of young men, like Bukowski would say. But personally for you, did the release of your first film feel like a validation of your struggle? Did it feel like, okay, I am here
No
to stay?
fun. I actually didn't enjoy it at all. I, in fact, had a moment after Sapta Sagaradaache released where I called the entire crew, I called my wife, I called everybody who's made me who I am in this journey, and I just broke down. I just wept like a little child, and I thanked them, and I was so grateful because it was such a empowering moment for me. I really enjoyed it so much. But Godibana, when I felt only relief. I was like, oh, thank God the money has come back. Because there was so much at stake. If my first film had flopped, like the way I had built it up in my head was that I have worked 10 years for this moment. And if I fail now, making my second film is not going to happen. It's just like, I was like, I cannot go through that hustle again. I will just pack up and do some other job. So that is my dream vanished. So that is the kind of narrative that I had sort of built up in my head. So for me, it was more like, oh, relief. I don't care why they're liking the film. Oh, thank God they're liking the film. Thank God it's doing box office numbers. So that enjoyment of actually watching your work come to life, all that actually was clouded with a lot of anxiety. Sapta is when, for the first time, because second film also it kind of became that way, because I'm like, Puneet sir's production, first film, what will people say? They're waiting for me to fall, like all this narrative. So this film, I was like, screw it. I've made something. Let me just, So on the when we uploaded the film, on the first day when we saw the film, I actually enjoyed watching my own film. I was like, okay, came out and I was like, damn it, I shouldn't have quit smoking. But I really enjoyed it after Sapta, side A and side B. But I didn't, which is strange enough. I thought I would be experiencing that with my very first film, but first film was just tremendous amount of anxiety.
Okay. So it doesn't fucking end, huh? The
Yeah,
self-doubt and the
No.
imposter syndrome.
Today, I'm like, when I came and sat here, I'm like, why the fuck am I here? What have I done? Like, people are going to be like, what has he done?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that you battle. You have to. Like, the voices in your head is always out to get you. You just have to find a way.
Kindly refer to earlier section, which has. No, but what I was curious was, so now as somebody who watched 4 films a day and wrote back, right? What did your dad feel that when you became a filmmaker, right? Must have meant something to him, right? That,
Yeah. No, it was very strange. I wanted to be a cricketer. I used to bug my mom to like allow me to go play cricket here, play cricket there. I used to play I was playing chess. I was quite good at it. I was quite decent at cricket. So there was always something other than what everybody is doing that I wanted to do. My dad used to be like, just do what everybody is doing. What is this problem type? So he always was the guy who used to say no. Don't allow him, don't encourage him, stuff like that. And my mother used to be the one, let him play. What is he, that kind of a thing. But one day when I've told my mother, because I can't talk to my dad directly, I'm scared. He's not intimidating, he's not scary, but I told her about me wanting to do films. So one day my dad calls me and I go and I'm like, so FTI application has come. Why don't you apply? And I was like, what? What is he saying? What is he saying?
See, even there, he wanted you to follow the structure.
Yeah. No, I mean, and now a lot of youngsters, when they come, when they say, I want to assist, sometimes, their father will speak for them. I understand the anxiety. Like, I am able to empathize why they feel that way. When you love something from this tiny, and it's like peeing and shitting itself, and then it grows up to be an actual person, and it's deciding to do something stupid.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say no, right?
Yeah.
It's,
No, but in your case, deciding to do something that he himself loves a lot.
yeah, but for him, it felt like, it's like you have that, you have that very, it is not for us. It is somebody else's. They do it, we don't do it, sort of a thing. Because there's no connection to films at all in my family. And I come from very simple sort of background. So typical low middle class, middle class sensibility. So for him to be like, okay, he wants to do it, let's, let him take that leap of faith. And, that was very powerful for me. And my parents have been super, super, like, not in this entire 10-year journey, there were instances where they would come and be like, so, you can do a job. Like, very, like, should we say it? Should we not say it types? But I've never felt a sense of doubt vocally from them. They 100% have felt it. They 100% have been worried. But it's a testament to the fact that they're able to not show it. That is a great form of love. Because lots of times the love can be very suffocating, right? A lot of kids, like when I hear somebody say especially to girls, and like, come home by 6 o'clock, something bad can happen to you. It's very suffocative by nature, right? They are doing this because they love you. So my parents didn't do that. They just allowed me to make my mistakes, and I'm very thankful for that.
So for all your filmography, which is your dad's most appreciated or
I think first film will always be special,
First.
but he will like
not like a dad, but like as an audience, like the
But that's
audience.
also dad's son story also.
yeah. Though he after the film we have it's a very we have started talking a lot now. I think my mother's illness, strangely in Godimana, the mother character dies of cancer. My mother passed of cancer, unfortunately. So we've our relationship has, in a very weird way, we've become far more thicker. So we speak a lot about films. I'm more vocal about what is happening in my life, what is happening in films, what are the projects that I'm working on. I've never felt comfortable talking about my work, like this story, this actor I'm planning to talk, or why don't you come for shooting? Because I have a very my job is no less glorious or no more gloriful than somebody else who earns his job. It's he's doing his job, I'm doing my job. So if I'm sitting in front of a computer and coding, my parents shouldn't be coming and seeing my workspace, right? That is my workspace. So if I'm doing a film, why should it be that they want to come and see? So I've never felt comfortable doing that, because for me it's like there's no glory in this, because that's something that I just don't look at it that way. There's no greater thing to it. It's a job that I like doing, but at the end of the day, it's a job. It's no different. So I've never brought him to a film set, but on great insistence, he wanted to meet Anand sir and take a photo with Anand sir. So one day after shoot, I'd got him, both my mom and my dad. So that is the only time. But yeah, I mean, for him, I think it's kind of surreal that he used to watch so many films and his son is now making films. It's very interesting. It's like apparently his obsession in films comes from my grandmother. So it's like some weird cycle that is being.
All right. Kedus, do you have questions?
No.
All right, let's go.
We have plan C now.
Yeah.
Sorry, side C. We have
Yeah.
finished side A, side B.
Yeah. No, I thought it was one of those moments where plan A is the best, and because generally we run out of we have only one segment of questions, and then we kind of get done with it because we like taking it where it goes. So one of the questions that we ask people is we like finding out about their obsessions, right, beyond their work. So is there anything that you are obsessed about, that you geek out about, that?
I think I've sort of mentioned all of it over the course of the podcast. But my dogs, I think, I don't know if I can classify them as obsessions, but I can spend an infinite amount of time with them. So, like, it's just their company is so pleasurable.
Okay. So can I steer it in a direction?
Yeah.
Because we have to record.
Yeah.
So you speak about literature and growing up around books and comics a lot. For many people of this generation, it is kind of, thanks to technology or whatever, they are kind of removed. Like it's kind of an arduous task
Yeah.
to start reading.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll not ask you what are your biggest literary influences, what book should everybody read, all that. I'm sure you've answered those. If somebody is trying to get into reading, and in this context of the attention spans being so small, what are books that you would recommend that are accessible, that people can get into reading through?
I actually have a slightly different opinion on this, in the sense that I don't think it should be easy for people to get into. Like, if it is being made easy for them to consume it, then they shouldn't even read.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's reading a book, right? I mean, there is no what do you say? I totally get the obsession that that people have, youngsters today have this thing of not just youngsters, generally I think attention span is reduced, so they want the gist of it quickly.
Yeah, in shorts.
It is the antithesis of reading a book.
Correct.
Right. The whole point is that you have to read the book. So I think the whole joy of reading a book can only be experienced when you actually do it.
Okay.
I think the good thing to do is start with small books, maybe. Like, I really got into reading by reading a lot of O. Henry short stories. Henry short stories are like 2 pages, 3 pages, and in 3 pages you have a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Which is your favorite O. Henry short story?
There are many, like I like the leaf
Last
one,
Leaf,
the last leaf one, obviously. There are like many stories. There's one story that happens in a railway station with a box with a missing suitcase or something like that. Like I forget uh, the name of the story. I forget the context of the story, but the setting of the story is in a railway station.
Okay.
So a lot of these small chutku stories, and something that I recently discovered on not recently, but something that Twitter is very fun for me is a lot of short form writing. There's a Twitter handle that I follow called Ramki, who writes these uh, tweet stories where it's like a linking one story, one line after another, one tweet after another, and it's an entire story. So I like it when people are using short form for storytelling. Like a couple of days back, I put out a tweet about a science fiction writer who has written a story every day, 3 lines in science fiction. Like one of the first stories that he said is, I ordered a time machine on eBay and it arrived 6 days
This back.
back. Like stuff like this. Like when you read it, there's a nice, literature, good writing can find itself in these things.
Okay.
So I think that I would say. But I come from that thing where I'm a Blossoms guy, bookworm. And in fact, in Hyderabad, one of the fond memories that I have is, I don't know if it still exists, that book bazaar that happens on Abbott's.
Correct. The Sunday market. Sunday book market. Yeah, it's still
I was so in love about that because I used to pick up a ton of books. And I used to read a lot back then. Now it's reduced, obviously. My reading is also reduced. But I read on Kindle and I have also shifted to audiobooks. Yeah, that I think is a good entry point for somebody who's wanting to get into literature, because reading might be difficult. Listening to an audiobook is equally engaging, and you have a lot of new this thing where a lot of voice actors lend their voice for characters, and this drama sort of comes alive. So recently I was reading the John Green book that had recently come out as an audiobook. And I quite enjoyed the experience. So I've started doing that a lot.
Okay. Cool. So you are saying that if you are reading literature, as well dive into the.
Yeah. Like you have to, like maybe audiobook is a good entryway.
Okay.
And then you slowly get into the books.
All right. So here's my question. What were the books, like as a child or whatever, while growing up, you read a book and then you begin to live in that world, right? You're kind of transported into that. What were those books that became those portals for you to.
For me, it was pulp, proper thrillers, which is why I think I gravitate towards a lot of crime and thrillers within the framework of my stories. I read your
James Hadley Chase.
James Hadley Chase, then Jeffrey Archer, Sidney Sheldon. All of these were my early entrants, and also as a young boy turning into a young man, there is hint of some sex and sexuality, and I'm like, okay, when does it? Which page? And you're curious. You just want to know, and so a lot of that happened. Harold Robbins.
Yeah.
So and then you slowly discover the good ones, which actually, like, wow, what a story, So that started happening when I started going to Blossoms, and I started spending time just looking for different kinds of books. And for me, one of the books that really made a very big impact on me was Brave New World. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. When I read it, I was like, this is a great. And then that took me in the direction of reading a lot of Philip K. Dick and, the Dune series and Lord of the Rings. And so the world building and that really, really was like fascinating. Like the characters that they create and all that. So that I did a lot. Of course, I love reading humor. So Nick Hornby is somebody that I read a lot. I've read, I think, most of his work. Then there's couple of like obscure writers. Like I don't know if they've written again, but I would have read one book and I would have really enjoyed it. So like that I've read a couple of humor oriented things. There's a writer called Ben Elton. He had written this I remember this very vividly because I discussed this with my wife a couple of days back before coming. He had written a book about called Dead Famous, I think it's called. Uh, Dead Famous. There, the fourth book. It's a book about people in a reality show, in a Big Boss kind of a thing, where one of them gets murdered, and so this book is very fascinating for me because Shankar Nag made a film like this back in the day called for whatever reason I'm not able to Idu Sadhya, I think it's called. Like this is also possible if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not an adaptation of Dead Famous. It's just Shankar Nag Idu Sadhya, I think.
No, he's made lots of movies. I
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
put the name in the search.
Ingu Sadhya, Idu Sadhya, Idu IDH.
Indu kadra, Shravan.
Ingu Sadhya.
Cool. No, we'll editor will
Yeah,
find
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
Yeah, so it was about somebody getting killed in that sort of a setting.
but what setting is here? It's a reality show. There, what is the?
I forget. I'm drawing a blank. Like my brain is like overworking trying to name the book.
Okay.
Like, am I getting the right actor? Am I going to get trolled? There are like 100 things happening.
Please
right now.
don't do that, guys.
No, but so Dead Famous was really fascinating because it is something that we see, right? This whole big boss thing. So I was like, what if there's a murder? What if like a murder mystery around it is very fascinating.
And there are cameras all around.
Yeah, exactly. So, so for me, like how it happens is, I then ended up finding, as a consequence of Dead Famous, I ended up finding a British series called Dead Set. It's a 6-episode British series where there's a zombie outbreak, and the only safe people in the world are the contestants of the Big Boss.
Oh.
So it's
Because they're secluded from.
yeah, and it's fascinating. It's the whole show is so bloody fascinating. Like it's very existential, very philosophical, but extremely entertaining. It's very much in that dark humor space. So yeah, all of these basically, and a lot of film noir, like proper. There was a detective, and there's a murder. There's a damsel who's been killed, and the detective goes to find, and those kind of stories.
Correct.
I always like reading.
Dead Set. Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the Big Boss logo, but like a zombified version of it.
Dude, the climax of this is so haunting. It's like it's a slap across your face. It's like it's beautiful.
It's only one season.
It's a limited series. That's the thing about British television that I like. They don't make 30 seasons. They'll make one season and it'll be kick-ass.
Oh, it's created by Charlie Brooker.
Yeah, Charlie Brooker. Yeah. The Black Mirror guy. Yeah.
Oh, I'll check it out. Yeah. It seems like something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Black Mirror
yeah.
is kind of
Yeah.
like dystopia and modern science.
Yeah.
Is there,
It's got that the British actor, the Indian name. He's what's his name?
Dev Patel?
No, Riz Ahmed.
Oh, Riz Ahmed. Okay,
It's got Riz Ahmed.
Okay. Cool. All right. And did you read comics? Like what kind of
crazy.
comics were?
Crazy. Like I used to collect comics. Like for me now, talking about comics is like it's a little uncool because everybody's like into like calligraphy you were telling about. ये करेगा तो यहाँ का क्या होगा types. Like random kids are like Avengers and Thanos, and it's like. But for me, I got into it with Sin City, then The Killing Joke, the original masters, Alan Moore,
Yes.
Garth Ennis, Why the Last Man, and Preacher,
Graphic novels.
proper graphic novels. And for me, one of the big, this is something that I did, by the way, in Sapta. Every time I start a film, I give a book which I have been inspired by to the lead actors.
Okay.
So for Sapta, I had given Blankets. There's this book, graphic novel called Blankets.
Okay.
It's a very beautiful illustrated book. It's about a guy falling in love. Craig Thompson is the guy. So beautiful book, really beautiful book. Like I love graphic novels like this, where it's not about action. It's about people, right? So there are a lot of stories like this that I really liked. There's one Japanese series called Lone Wolf in the Cub, which is a brilliant. This is also a kick-ass. It's about one lone samurai traveling through Japan with a small baby, and he's the baddest kick-ass samurai that you can ever find. And it's about how he goes through different towns and how he saves the baby. It's basically Mandalorian. Mandalorian is inspired. I wouldn't say inspired, but it leans very heavily on Lone Wolf and the Cub.
And this is a graphic novel.
This is a graphic novel, manga basically.
Actually, graphic novels are a nice way, I think, to get into reading. If
For me, editing. If you actually look at the paneling of graphic novels, like what is a close-up, what, like especially action sequences. If you look at Lone Wolf in the Cub as an action director, if you want to be an action director, if you want to understand how action works, you will know what shot you need to shoot, because they'll have a shot of the knife coming out, then just the footsteps, then the action. It'll be a 2-shot. It's like very. You see that? It's like.
yeah,
It's very.
like a storyboard.
Yeah. It's like a storyboard of a film.
Yeah. Nice. So let me just extend that question a little bit. So now there is literature that you like, and there is cinema. Like, if I can call them your two big obsessions. Combining those two, are there any books about cinema? Not necessarily like guides to filmmaking, not Save the Cat and screenplay and all, but any books and movies?
I love reading about other directors' journeys.
Okay.
Like I like reading books where, like Tarantino recently, his book is he has published a book about his experiences of making. I think I forget the name of the book. The last book, Once Upon a Time in the West. It came out as a book.
Yes.
And then there's Scorsese, Stephen King on writing.
That is a heartbreaking book.
So I love reading those kind of books because you're getting an insight into the creative mind of a totally different person. So sometimes you will get stuck. I won't have all the answers. I will be feeling like a piece of shit. I won't be able to write a scene. So there will be something that I would have read where somebody else would have felt a similar kind of a situation, where they would have felt a similar kind of a thing, and they would have worked out that problem. So those kind of things, just as a life experience, it's like I get to live my experience plus somebody else's. So those kind of books I like always to read. Now because of social media, that whole experience is like some interview is clipped and then they place it. So you end up seeing snippets of it, which is also a good way to consume these things.
Correct.
But I'm like Hayao Miyazaki, the guy behind Studio Ghibli, like there's a documentary on his life, like how he makes his films.
I might have seen clips. He's just smoking.
Yeah.
and
It's like life is meaningless.
Yes,
Life is so
yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Look at this cat, and
Yeah.
those kind of things are. I like seeing those things because it normalizes all the emotions that I go through. Like when I'm writing, when I'm getting stuck somewhere, it feels like I'm obviously not 1/10 as capable as they are, but it is nice to know that there have been many people who have walked this path. So that is a kind of a refreshing
You can
thing.
relate to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't feel alone. And recently I watched Inside Out. That is a brilliant movie, one of my favorite films. And I found out that with another writer friend of mine, he told me that the writer of Inside Out hosts a podcast called The Screenwriting Life, where they discuss like generally screenwriting is it's a lonely affair, right? You sit in some room and you're just imagining up a world. There are many times you feel like a mad person. So the what they go through, how do they pitch, how do they accept notes, feedback, so that it's nice to listen to it. So I listen to most of these things when I go on a walk with my dogs. So it's like a nice, it's good usage of my time in a way.
Cool. All right, which brings me to my next question. So, mostly when we ask people to name their favorite filmmakers and all, you get a standard few names, right? But since you are such a film nerd, film geek, I want you to give us some recommendations of people that we might not have watched, but we will get great joy out of.
There is I don't. I think I'm. See, most of the times, what happens is like these questions. No, it is a more like a memory refresh, which is the last 5 filmmakers that I've thought of in the last 2 months are the names that I'll come up with.
Yeah.
So I'm when I was working in subtitling, I used to work. I did this DVD commentary for this filmmaker called Sam Peckinpah.
Okay.
So he has done a lot of great westerns. Like he's one of the greats, along with Sergio Leone, and he falls in that category. So he did Wild Bunch, Ride High or No County or something like that. What the Wild Bunch is his. What is the other one?
Straw Dogs.
Straw Dogs is that is not a western. Ride the High Country. Ride the High Country. Country? Yeah. Like his filmography is very interesting. So in one of his films, there is this. He has shot a color film. This is the film that I worked on the DVD commentary on. The whole film is monochromatic. Okay, because he shot it in the snow-capped mountains in Canada or Alaska somewhere. But the lead character has a yellow scarf. That's the only color that pops out in the film.
Okay.
So the selective usage of color was one. He was one of the first pioneers of that. So his filmography is very interesting. Like he's done Straw Dogs is that Dustin Hoffman film. It's that is also a very typical Hollywood. A couple goes into a cabin and then there are 4 psychos who attack them. That poster is like mind blowing. That the glasses ka poster, mind blowing.
Can you enlarge that picture, please? Okay.
A very violent
Broken
film.
eyes,
Yeah.
goggles.
Yeah. I mean, see, if you're watching these films today, you'll be like, yeah, very boring. It is, you have to add cultural context. This came out in like, whatever, 1971. For 1971, this is a very violent film. But today, obviously, it's like, it'll be like, kids can watch it when they're having breakfast.
Cool. All
Sam
right.
Peckinpah, and then Hayao Miyazaki, I think, any Studio Ghibli film can be studied to learn screenplay and storytelling. Studio Ghibli makes some of the best films that I've ever seen. Like he's an absolute genius. There are two filmmakers that I would very highly recommend, and probably not many people in popular culture will know of these two guys.
Going back to our like Japanese intricacy thing.
Oh yeah.
Even their animation is not like it's like hand painted frames. And
So in one of the documentaries, there is a sequence. I think I saw it on Twitter also, and I think I shared it as well. There is a sequence in a train. Okay, it's like a busy train station where a lot of people are moving about. It took the animator 3.5 months to get that 3-second frame, like 3.5 months or some 3 years, or I don't know, some obnoxious amount of time to get that detailing. And you can see so much life and character, and that they've captured a certain way of people living. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
cool. All right. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
But before you go, we will have to ask you one question, which we ask all our guests, which is that we feel most people who come into the room, permit room as a guest, have kind of fixed 4 issues in their life, 4 aspects of their life, right? And some haven't, and they said, no, I don't have any expertise, so feel free. But these are the 4 aspects that we like to ask people who have achieved in their field, which is how they talk about physical health, mental health, financial
Management.
time management, and financial management, right? So these,
I wish I could give some advice on this. I'm looking for advice
or how
constantly.
you go about
Financial
with that?
advice, like I said, it's very important to be financially dependent, independent of, so that you can have the privilege of making your choices. I think that is very important. We live in the world where everything is dictated by money. So it's important to know, how you can, ground yourself and live within your means. Like I've tried to develop my own unique relationship with money, which is very different to where my father comes from. My father has a very, very conservative approach, saying, oh, this is too expensive, it's not worth it. If you order this here, you'll get it at 20 rupees lesser, or not specifically like that, but he is a little more conservative. But over period of time, as I have become my own man, I've realized that I have to have my own unique understanding and relationship with money, which is responsible enough for me. Otherwise, I'll always constantly be thinking, what will my father say? What will my mother say? Like, I become an adult when I start taking responsibility completely, right? So I have to develop my own relationship. That is one. With regard to mental health, I think it's a very important aspect, which I think is coming out now in terms of how you, like, I have spoken to a therapist with, I have anger issues. I have massive anger issues. So I get angry a lot. Like, when I see somebody say something dumb, I draft like a long reply and then don't send it. I delete it. I have to stop myself from speaking my mind because sometimes I'm too caustic. I have to measure what I say. And more often than not, I've realized that I regret being that way. Like, I can articulate whatever emotion I have slightly better. Those are things that I'm still learning. So mental health is something that I have started discovering. I'm discovering now, where I'm opening up about my anxieties. I think it ties in also with my loss of my mother, the grief that comes with it, and all that. And it took about 3.5 years for her to go. So that has left a lot of scars, which I am still unpacking. So physical health, I know it is important, but I somehow have not been able to do anything in that regard.
time management.
Time management is, I think, it is the fundamental thing that can make or break a career, in a sense. Like, I keep joking that my alarm, actually, I have to wake up and solve math problems. Like, and it's one of those nuclear reactor type alarm bells. Like, there are videos of my dogs like crying, like howling and saying, please just, and the moment my alarm rings, they get up and like, fuck off, I don't want to be in the same room. So I have to get up and solve problems
Is
because
that an app?
it's an app.
Okay.
And it's really, really loud. So I have to
So till you solve the problem, the
alarm won't switch off.
Hey, can you tell us the name if it's not a secret? Or
Not at all, man. I'll be happy to share this with other people. It's called Alami.
Alami.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just for, this is my alarm ringtone.
Oh, so till you solve it, it keeps
It keeps
beeping.
ringing.
Hey, that's beautiful, man. I'll download that.
It's the worst way to get up.
But
It's the worst way to get up because you wake up with panic, and I'm not able to find a better way. Like, if somebody is there watching this, they're like, try this, I will try it. Like, I do this whole thing of, I wear the smart ring. My wife makes she's constantly berating me and making jokes of it. Like, what is the point of this? You don't sleep on time, you don't wake up on time. I don't get enough sleep. I have massive problems with sleep. So I'm like the worst person on this podcast, I can guarantee you, to give advice on physical health, mental health, time management. I am struggling. I think.
no, actually, I noticed your ring, but I thought maybe like artistic directors
No,
have a
I am-
non-mainstream engagement.
I like tech stuff. So whenever something new comes, I'm like, I want to try.
Correct.
So I got this. It's the Ultra Human Ring, and it gives me like how many hours I slept. I check all of it, and I'm every time it's like inadequate. I'm like, not only do I feel it, a software is also telling me that I'm not good enough.
Yeah, and somebody in China is noting down the data.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. We've come to the end. Thank you so much. I know it was a very, very long discussion with
No,
lots of
I
breaks.
enjoyed it.
But I cannot let you go before I ask you one final thing. So, your 10-year journey, right? 10-year journey of trying to make a film, and after that, another 8 years of journey so far. And if somebody's watching so far, they probably liked your movie, is an aspiring filmmaker, and stuff like that. So, I want you to just give a few words of solace, of hope and encouragement to that filmmaker who is sitting in his hostel just looking at it and wondering what life will be.
It won't be easy. That's the fundamental thing. The moment you realize that it is, as much as it's beautiful, collaborative, you have to be ready for the tough fight. Like, you have to be ready to go through shit. Like, you have to have that kind of, I will do this at all costs. And that comes with a price. You will realize what your price is when you walk that path. But there is no comfort in knowing that it will get easier. Like, it's always better. I always feel better when somebody comes and says, you cannot climb this peak for so and so reason. So to climb this peak, then you need to be physically fit. You need to have breathing. You need to have those. You need to know the size of the challenge before getting into it. So I'd say, you will have to find a way to comfort yourself. It will never come from outside. Your family you can't depend on, your closest friends you can't depend on, because they don't know what is it that you go through. I think it's a good idea to share and be, open about it. But ultimately, the fire, it has to burn from inside, right? So that is the thing. You have to figure out a way to keep it alive.
Okay. Find your own audio cassette.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
keep listening to it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Please feel free to come again. We always tell our guests that you don't have to come for a movie promotion or anything. If you're in Hyderabad and you feel like...
I have no movie to promote right now, so I will definitely.
Yeah. And thank you so much for giving your time and your insights. And it was such a beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
And,
My pleasure.
yeah. I was actually, it is my thing of hedging my expectations. I thought, okay, man, movie is great. Not necessarily he'll be a good talker also. But all right. Meet the expectations. Thank you so much. And please.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And now, because you're a director, please look intensely into the camera
Okay.
and say cut.
Okay. Cut.